The Snapdragon Pro Series is brought to you by Snapdragon Elite Gaming, Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra, Monster Energy, and DHL.
It's day 3 of the challenge season for Call of Duty Mobile, which means we are back in EU. Now, last time around, we watched as Exclusive became the second team out of Group A to claim their spot in the challenge finals. Today, we start fresh with Group B, and we'll work through the upper portion of that bracket until one more squad has claimed the third spot in finals. Who will that be? We're about to find out. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Snapdragon Pro Series.
Looks like the players are ready. Here we go!
Hello everyone and welcome to the Snapdragon Pro Series. Like I said earlier, today's day 3 of our challenge season here in EU for Call of Duty Mobile, which means it's time for us to take a look at a new group and get a new team qualified through to our challenge finals. My name is Glitter Explosion and I'll be your host here for today. And of course, we got to bring the boys back as well. We've got Infinity and Ton to walk us through day 3 here. Brody, give me your thoughts. We're halfway through the region already.
I know, I feel kind of sad in a way. I was reflecting on it earlier. I was like, oh my God, we're almost done with EU already. It was a fun time last week, so I've absolutely no doubt in my mind that today is going to produce the exact same kind of results.
Yeah, we've got a new group this time around, Tantu, who was able to watch everything that went down last week. So today should be exciting. New teams, new matches, new everything.
Yeah, we get to see some familiar faces along the way as well. It's going to be an interesting day. We all have our favorites for this one, absolutely, but let's see how it all plays out. It's never always the same as what you would expect.
Yeah, it's been a fun ride in EU so far, so today should be right on par with that as well. But if you missed what happened last week, or you just want to keep up what happens with the rest of this season, or even with some of our other regions, follow us on social media. We have X, Insta, and Facebook, and you can just follow along on there to get all of your updates for all things Snapdragon Pro Series related, or you can join our Discord at discord.gg/Snapdragon Pro Series, where you can join our community, talk all things Call of Duty Mobile, and of course continue to get all of those updates, because as we've seen in some of our other regions, some things can get exciting along the way, and you're not going to want to miss a single second of what's happened. We keep talking about this bracket from last week, though. Let's take a look at the brackets. You guys at home, if you're just joining us here for the first time, you can see what happened, a little bit of an update here. We're now into our second group here. Like we said, 2 teams qualified through last week, and we're waiting on the last 2. This is now the second bracket here. This upper half is what we're going to be focusing on for day 1, Brody. Obviously, the teams that do lose will drop down into the lower bracket and have one more shot tomorrow to make their way through.
Yeah, so again, I kind of mentioned this last week before we ended the show, that this group this time around is going to feel like a little bit more balanced, I have to say. Obviously, we have an immediate favorite there in Animus, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But for the most part, we look at the rest of the group, and it all feels like what I would describe as mid-table teams that could be competitive for that 4th place spot, right, inside challenge finals. So I think, particularly looking towards Wanted versus Nexus, and I think especially with Vanquish potentially going down the lower bracket, things could be really interesting here in Group B.
I think, like we said, we've got some exciting matchups coming along the way, as well as, like Ton was mentioning, recognizable names. And we've also told you guys this at home before, but this is multi-stage competition. This is our challenge season. Everyone's trying to qualify through to our challenge finals. We'll take a look at the schedule for today so you can see which matches to expect coming up around the corner. Obviously have to get through the upper portion of the bracket, which means Animus versus Vanquish will be kicking off the day, aka for this group, the 1st seed and the 4th seed, Ton.
Yeah, and obviously leaning towards Animus on that side of things, which is an easy thing to do, I suppose, considering their achievements last season under, of course, a different name. But let's see how they do over the overall season. This will be the warm-up for them. They will very much be looking towards that winner's circle, so to speak. But Wanted against Nexus is a little bit more of a difficult one to kind of tell which way it's going to go. That should be a very good game.
Yeah, definitely. Like Brody was saying, some of those teams, it's going to be a close battle because they should, in theory, end up somewhere in the middle table of our overall rankings for this region. And finally, the last piece of the puzzle, not only is it the spots to the challenge finals that our teams are fighting for, but of course, once we get through open finals and start getting into challenge season, there's a little bit of money on the line here, which is always nice. And it increases at every single step of the way. So there's money on the line here in the challenge season, as well as then in challenge finals. And of course, what everyone's really trying to get to at the end of it all is champs, Brody.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, that is kind of the distant thing, right? But immediately you already talk about the fact that we have so much money on the line in this season. So if you do not manage to get past this stage of the 2024 competition, you know what? No worries, because at the very least, you're going to be walking away with at least $800 per team. That is a lot of cash. You can do a lot with $800. So everyone's walking away with something.
I mean, not too shabby for just at least making it to this stage of the competition. Obviously, being top 8 in the region is no small feat, so everybody getting a little bit extra in their pockets if they are unable to make their way through to challenge finals. But now that you all at home understand how all of this works, you know what they're playing for, you know that we're in our second group, Group B here, trying to get those last 2 available spots. Give us your thoughts on the show as well, okay? There'll be a QR code that pops up on your screen. Scan that, take the survey, and let us know what you love about it, areas you think we might be able to improve upon. And then if you do that, you'll be entered to potentially win a $100 gift card. It takes like 5 minutes, super easy to do. So tell us your thoughts right on over there. You guys saw the schedule though, so it's time to start talking about it. Match 1, Animus versus Vanquish to kick off the day. Let's talk about Animus first here. A very recognizable roster, ton.
100%. I think, you know, you think of this team, you think of how much they improved over the previous season. We talked about them. I think it was one of our very first games. I think it was maybe my first game of COD Mobile I'd casted in like 3 years for these guys as Omniscient last season. And how they went straight in up against Kings and just looked the part straight away. So let's see if they can have the similar sort of start. I mean, I know it's not exactly the same opposition, but these guys will be wanting to fight for that top spot once again. They faltered when it did get to the nitty-gritty of the tournament last time. Let's see if they can go a step further this time around.
Yeah, definitely. Animus are going to be a really competitive team. I think you just look at the composition of that roster, and they are one of the rosters to watch potentially to come out on top of this season. They do go head-to-head with Vanquish, though, this time around, which is, I would say, a pretty good team for the most part. Obviously, anybody who were fans of the Mont team last season, or even potentially Big, should recognize some of these names, particularly at Kirby, who I believe, again, did sit on the bench for the vast majority of last season. Only came out to play a couple of times. Lydia as well, who notably, I believe, is only one of the women competing here in Call of Duty Mobile. I want to shout out Kuda though, because Kuda was pretty impressive during Open Finals, so I'm excited to see what they're produced for Vanquish today. You're going to need those star players against Animus.
Yeah, and you know, these teams have had a little bit of time to not only learn from what happened in Open Finals, but as well as learn from some of the teams that played out of Group A and kind of watch those performances and take away anything that they could. Well, I'll get those picks up here as well and see what our teams want to play in for our map picks and see if that maybe informs how this could potentially play out. Starting things off with the Hacienda Hardpoint here, Brody.
Honestly, mate, I'm so shocked. I can't believe it's a Hacienda. Like, just the pure shock is beyond me. Yeah, honestly, I'm not surprised that much when it comes down to an Animus here. It is worth saying that this is still the vast majority of the Omniscient roster from last season. And last season, Hacienda Hardpoint was just like in every single one of their series. It was picked almost every single time. I'll be honest, back then, I wasn't exactly sure why, because they're very 50-50 on it. They lost basically almost half the games that they played on it. But still, it's in once again. Hopefully, they've improved from last season. I think Says and Shark on the roster will probably improve their chances quite a bit.
Yeah, I think for me, when I look at it as well, I remember a couple of years having a good time with things on Takeoff last season, but of course, it was a completely different game. Well, it's not going to carry over in that sense. But we have seen Control Arsenal, maybe a little bit more towards the latter stages of last season. We're starting to get a bit more involved as some teams became a little bit more comfortable with it. Everyone should be very comfortable with it now, of course. Things slightly changed there, but it's pretty standard, apart from the Takeoff Search and Destroyers coming in as a slightly new map. So interested to see how things go there. But I think ultimately for Animus, it could be a good potential opportunity to get themselves in practice up against some decent opposition here. They want to be making sure that they have got everything dialed, dotted their I's, crossed their T's, and all of that jazz, so to make sure that they are looking good for when they do get to ultimately the final side of things.
Yeah, definitely a nice classic map pool to kind of kick things off here for the day in EU, and that first match is ready to go. So Brody, let's get into it.
Alrighty, well, we did look at Animus here as we get into our first match of the day. We looked at their roster, but we didn't actually get a chance too much to talk about the roles on the team, right? The individual players on the team. And I want to look towards Gifilla and Razmo to kick off this match time because they are the ARs on this roster. They're going to be ones, I think, when you're looking at kind of map control here on Hacienda that need to step up the plate for Animus.
Yeah, I mean, it goes from the get-go when you're talking about the AR battle on Hacienda, straight from P1, you're trying to get that control over towards the top side, making sure you're holding down for P2. The control for the ARs on this map is absolutely paramount. You think of, right, okay, yeah, so there's the example for P1. You think about P2 getting up on the car. You think about P3 getting somebody up top and watching down fences. You think, hey, look, I mean, I can keep repeating myself if we want. But AR is very, very important when it does come down to Hacienda. But for Animus, as I said, I think coming into this series, they have got to be feeling confident about things. They've got to be just feeling that they can try and get some good practice, maybe on some maps they wouldn't usually play. We said we've seen Hacienda plenty last year. Was it technically last year? Not really. It started last year, ended this year. I think it's realistic to say that this is a good time for them to practice on a map that they had previously not done too hot on, but I wonder if they're keeping it in there. They just like playing Hacienda, bro. That's all it is.
Yeah, I am curious to see what Animus look like on Hacienda this season. Again, you know, going back to the fact that they were very 50-50 on it last season, despite it being the vast majority of the hardpoint maps that they actually played. Yeah, I definitely need to see improvements, and I think on the whole as well, it is worth saying that last season, hardpoint was probably the biggest problem for Omniscient. So, hoping to see something better out of Animus. This new look Animus roster, again, it has been injected with some serious prowess. Of course, Shark and Saze joining the lineup. Both are playing in this matchup, and both have had a pretty good start. Animus on the whole also will be feeling that as well. They walk away from P1 with a fast amount of time, and they currently have control of P2 spawns. I like this play coming up from Animus. You've got Razmo sitting around the back. He's making sure nobody gets in behind and influences those spawns before there's any problems caused.
Yeah, keeping all the spawns over towards the back car park side is not a bad thing to do. You've got the cutoffs coming in here. If you Saze, you can find a couple. Nox will eventually fall, as does Cthulhu. Fred starting to come through, spawns towards the back as well. Sharky will do his best to just try and stay alive, but everybody else coming in from the forefront. It's not too bad of a position to be in now. 45 seconds still to play with here. You're about to see operators start to come into play, but good shots coming through across the board. Razmo will find 3, will slow it down. Spawns and hill control still here for Animus.
Animus still looking for this time, despite that initial push of players coming through from Vanquish. They are still trying to push this hill. Shark hasn't been found out just yet, and he's going to be able to utilize that safety net to his advantage. A couple of kills. Kuda will trade things out, but he will open the door here for Animus to potentially get a player or two on towards a hard point and continue to contest this time against Vanquish. Next up the plate will be Narks, who unfortunately is not able to do anything for you Animus fans out there. Fortunately enough, will make his way up the driveway and be able to finish things off on that hard point. So that's a pretty good heal from Animus on the whole. They get broken a couple of times, but Vanquish aren't really able to get a foothold in there. And once again, the Vanquish pushing that scrap time here, Ton. You're giving away the rotation to Animus. They just need to be cautious about any potential rogue spawns coming through for Vanquish.
I think the only positive for Vanquish there was the fact that they actually did keep Animus off there for a relatively decent amount of time. It wasn't quite a 50-50 hill, but things could have been a lot worse. Like, they are starting to go here over towards P3. Zaza is the only one who can answer back, but look at that kill feed. It just looks like it's going in one direction. Razmo bringing in the claw, will find 3, ultimately will fall straight after. A bit of a split coming through here though for Vanquish, but it doesn't matter if you don't win a goddamn gunfight. My god, Animus taking over the game right now, investing so much for this, but getting every single second of the hill as well.
Yeah, this is a massive investment coming out from Animus early on in this game, and now you're starting to see Shark with the equalizers here. Animus are throwing everything at this hard point. They recognize that spawn flip that I was talking about now as well, but they don't really have much utility left to deal with it as Kirby finds 2. Predator Missile going to have to be brought out to try and keep these players out of the hard point, and you almost feel with the amount of investment that Animus did make there, they kind of have to get every single second they possibly can off the back of this hard point, and they will. So Narks will sit there, soaking up the scrap time. They break that 100-point barrier here as we're going towards the next hard point, and for the first time this game, Tom, it is going to be Vanquish touching first.
I mean, yeah, that was the kitchen sink, the fridge, the washing machine, God. Every single plate available to be thrown at them on the previous hill, but the break comes through just so easily over towards next. The shots in from Razmo and Co. Crispy as ever. And all of a sudden you have them spawning out, and you also have the split spawns coming around from behind, and works out in Animus's favor, as it so often does when you are just a very good team. But here we go, Lydia, what you're going to be able to do here is able to find one before falling. Big investment coming through from both two teams, but once again, it's Animus out on top.
You can't keep on letting this happen. More investment for Animus now. Says with the War Machine is already finding more kills. Yeah, there's a pinstripe kill feed, but it's just not in favor of Vanquish whatsoever. And immediately, it's great recognition, right, from Animus. I mean, they deal with the players all on the other side of the map. They immediately recognize the spawn fit coming through and Says this is going to pre-fire down for 3. Vanquish Arcus being completely, well, vanquished here off the back of this hard point. Animus are keeping them out of every single second of time. Cuban will go for the jump up and will be able to surprise a couple of players, but not Shark. Shark's not letting that one fly. Yeah, this is a hard point. It's not a nice hard point if you vanquish. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, it's not been working out fantastic for them, even as you mentioned, when they did have that rotation over towards P4. That was their opportunity. They did not take it. I mean, it's all of a sudden, instead of Animus getting, what, a good 40 seconds there, you get the full 40-50 yourself from Vanquish. It's a relatively close game. They can turn this one around pretty quickly. If they can find themselves a good 60 here, get some decent time with P1, rotation over towards P2, maybe you can get something rolling, but easier said than done when the kill feed's just looking a little bit like that. Kirby's the only one who can answer back. Says with another gunfight into the point. We go, the beamer from Says in the lockdown over towards P1. 30 seconds remaining here. Animus could be touching 200 by the time they head over to P2.
Yeah, at this rate, Ton, this might well be one of the most damaging hardpoint scorelines we've seen in recent Snapdragon Pro Series history. Vanquish just cannot get a foothold in this game, and at this point, even if they do, they might well be too deep in the hole. Animus, solid control of the map. Says now looking for more kills around the bottom side. Kirby inside the hardpoint cannot finish their gunfight. Surely finish that kill. Lydia will be there to help on through, and Vanquish will get what is about 5 seconds of scrap. And they actually do have a bit of headway towards the new hardpoint as well. But as I say, Says brings the Predator missile down. Razmo is able to take one player out, and all that's left is Cuban, who just got 2. Will let the team know exactly where he's going to be, and now Razmo towards the hardpoint is looking to deal with these players that have managed to make their way through. Big investment of the War Machine coming out from Kirby, but it just doesn't last that long whatsoever. Nox is able to take a couple of those players down, and it's just a total futile effort from Vanquish.
I love the play from Shark there. Actually puts a couple of bullets in, but doesn't overcommit. Knows he can just sit there, knows that they have to still worry about them, and trusting his teammates to hold it down, even though they've only been able to do so momentarily. Shark now through the front door, not thinking about what he's doing now, just holding down the trigger and spraying everybody down. Finds 2. Gathilla's there to find another. This has been dominant from Animus so far, but once again, Vanquish making their life very, very difficult over towards P2. This extra 20 seconds would, well, not even put Vanquish within 100. I'm trying to think of silver linings for this Vanquish squad, and I am running out of ideas, Brody.
I got nothing, mate. Don't even ask me. I mean, maybe the rotation here, right? I mean, maybe that's the way you get back into this game, because Vanquish, again, they have managed to touch it, but it is worth saying that the last time they actually did have any control of any rotation, it was, I think it was P4, I want to say, on that first set, and they got broken almost immediately. So I would not be surprised if the same happens again here with the way in which the slaying has been so heavily in favor of Animus. That being said, it is mostly a full yellow kill feed. Razmo and Says the only one to find any value here for Animus, but they're on their way. Spawns have flipped now. Animus looking to push their way through Tin for the first contest. Nox is going to find Kuda. Smoke going down. It's going to enable Animus to get towards this hard point. The kill's now being made as well. Nice slide out from Nox. Almost finds that second as well. Cuban is very, very weak, and it is now just CZ left alive as Cuban goes down. It takes 25 seconds, but Animus remove Vanquish from the hill.
A little bit of a flip of spawns as well. Very well aware of what's going on. If you're Animus, Vanquish can get themselves into a contextual spot here, but you're going to suffer for it. I say that Cuban will find 2. Just more lamb to the potential slaughter as Says now comes into the point as well, looking for further kills, just spraying through the fences. 15 seconds to go here though. Vanquish need every single one of them. Rotation over towards P4 looking good as well. You're going to lose the scrap. You're going to lose a couple more gunfights as well. My God, Shark just snaps and into the point we go. Animus very much in the ascendancy now. Shark just lining them all. 3-4 in a row. And he might still be going. Has the help of his teammates on the way, but 212 and rising for Animus. 80 points to Vanquish.
And Shark smells blood in the water at the moment. Vanquish being overwhelmed. They are drowning. Razmo now with the claw. Can he take these players out that are managing to touch the hill and keep the contest going? No. Kuda's going to get spotted out, tries to play their life, but Nox is just very much on the hunt for these last couple of kills. Animus can still finish things here. Cuban's going to bring the Annihilator out. Shark, though, on the other side with the equalizers. Cuban's going to find some value. Equalizers just being pre-fired around the corner. It's all team shots. Shark now finding the gunfights. There's a couple of kills. Liddy, the only one with any value. This is probably going to be done here.
Should be game over. 13 seconds to go. You got 22 to play for. Everybody dead in the feed. We asked the question if Animus were going to come in with the same sort of fire that they did last season. Well, there is your answer. 3 seconds to go. They lock it in. Vanquish, welcome to the 100-point club. Animus, welcome to another season of possibilities. Fantastic performance from them in map number 1. I mean, what more can you say? Fantastic. Really, really solid performance across the board. Everybody chipping in where they need to. If they didn't find a rotation, they'd find a break. That was extremely, extremely one-sided.
It's just one of those times, right? It's just like, I mean, what do you analyze here? Animus just got the rotations when required. They won pretty much every single rotational battle. I think besides two, there's only 2 rotations they gave away, and it is only one of those that Vanquish were able to hold on to. And so for the vast majority of that game, I think the majority of the time came from either contests or scrap time. And that's not good enough. Vanquish just looked totally lost in that game. They were being dominated at every single turn by Animus. And I think you can tell the confidence of this Animus roster by their early actions, right? This hill was so damaging early on where they brought, I think it was 4 of the 5 operators they had available. They brought up 2 streaks to guarantee a early 60-second advantage over Vanquish. And from that point onwards, the snowball just kept on rolling. And Animus, I mean, they kept on dominating Vanquish. I don't even know what to say, but I mean, that was Animus. I don't even know if that was Animus at their best, but it certainly wasn't Vanquish at their best.
No, that was third gear kind of gameplay, wasn't it? Like, nothing really to fret about. I mean, Nox has got his feet up in the point. He is big chilling, 2.5 minutes to his name. And just everybody just getting things going. Rasmon says doing the job as we expected they would. Yeah, it's not even like the furthest gear. That was just very much standard procedure for Animus, making this best out of 5 feel like it might be a little bit short. But heading into a different game mode next, of course, we're going to change things up imminently. I mean, Search and Destroy and Takeoff is going to be something a little bit different, of course. Where I mean, I haven't seen it yet or casted it this season myself personally, so interested to get into that one. Irrelevant, but yeah, let's see how it goes. For the side of Vanquish, think back to some of the moments in the season where you were able to take maps, where you were able to force certain kind of games up against good opposition. We need to sort of see that, but I mean, how often did we see that when we headed into Search and Destroy, how big that gap actually looked in comparison to Hardpoint? If the gap was that big on Hardpoint, what's it going to look like on Search and Destroy?
Yeah, I think the one worry I would have here for Vanquish is I've got a feeling that Animus are going to roll into the Search and Destroy, be super aggressive, and just roll over Vanquish in the first couple of rounds, especially if they're on offense. And I think that's going to be so dangerous to a roster like Vanquish. I think they need to stabilize and adapt to that early on, because I can't imagine a world in which that's not how Animus plays these first couple of rounds on Takeoff. Again, though, that's dependent on what side they spawn in on. And I was curious to see which it would be. It's Vanquish starting things off on the offense. So that means Animus should have a relatively chill time at the beginning of this one. As everybody knows here on Takeoff, Search and Destroy, generally speaking, a bomb site is the one that teams go to because it is the easier to get onto, but by no means is it easy. It is so difficult. There are snipers facing you down, and I was wondering which one would be bringing out the sniper here for Animus. It's going to be Rasmo. So he's the player that Vanquish want to get rid of at all.
See if Vanquish can make any inroads. Not going to happen. Rasmo will find one. Yeah, the bomb sites are deep, right? I mean, it's very, very tough to get a breakthrough if you are the attacking side. Now, kind of reminds me a little bit of Tunisia in a certain kind of way. It says we'll find a couple through the middle of the map. That's just going to open up the catwalk, and all of a sudden, a little bit more control for Animus. You can see that one island player in shock, just finding his way up the map on the B side, closing the net, cutting down the angles, gaining information for the lack of information, and all of a sudden, it's a 5 versus 2. Dominant round number 1 from Animus so far, but can Vanquish pull a rabbit out of the hat?
And brilliant start from Animus, and now they're starting to really close the cage, aren't they? Couple of players left to contend with. You spotted both of those players out. Narc stuck between them both, but it's okay because he has the help from Shark as well. And I love the proactiveness there from Animus. They, you know, get those first opening gunfights. They don't rest on the laurels, even though generally speaking, that's what you expect teams to do on the defense here on Takeoff. They completely close in on Vanquish and remove them without much lost at all. So brilliant start from Animus. I need to see aggression bound of Vanquish here, and I think that's what we're going to get.
Let's see if they can make it work. Push over towards A again. Lydia was the first one through the front door, and Rasmo will be the first one to answer back pretty much immediately. He'll find 2. Gathil will be there for the trade, but so will Kirby. All of a sudden, it is a 3 versus 2 in favor of Animus. Could have been worse for Vanquish. They are once again just trapped that little bit. Need somebody maybe watching the flanks as it is there, ready and waiting. Feel like I didn't even say his name once in that previous map. And all of a sudden, it's him left in a 1 versus 2. Can he find 3 for the round and bring Vanquish on the board? Nope.
Gonna get hunted down. Again, it's the exact same story, right? Again, you know, Animus are not going to wait, and I said this before we got into the game. They are the exact kind of roster that will punish you for being slow. And Vanquish don't really have any other choice as to how this plays Search and Destroy so far. Again, it is worth saying that I don't think anybody should panic yet. This map is defensively sided after all, so it is expected that Animus win these rounds. Vanquish win any. It's dangerous for Animus. Big change of strategy, though, right at the start of the gates here. Kirby's going to take Saze down. Good trade coming out from Nux, though. Again, the pressure all through the middle of the map here. Vanquish seem intent on pushing the issue. Kuda will trade things out. And again, Vanquish still stuck here. Proactivist once again from Animus, though. They are flanking.
Cuban was able to find one, but Shark is able to answer back. 2 versus 2. Shark is there just to pick up the pieces once again. B was maybe just not the wave. Shark again with the shots. It's 3 for the round. And 3 rounds in a row for Animus. This is dominant so far. But you're right. I mean, it has been difficult for Vanquish to... I think it's hard after a map number 1 like that to be like, yeah, let's go into takeoff and just send it towards their side. After you've just been beaten around Hacienda for 5 minutes, it sort of puts you off the idea, right? Animus now. What can they do from the middle of the map as Vanquish starting to make a pick? It's a Shark again. Found himself 7, 8 kills in this game already. We're only 4 rounds deep. And all of a sudden, Lydia's left on her own. I haven't even had a chance to bring you into the conversation, Brody, and the round's already over.
Yeah, it's all right, mate. It happens. Just Animus things in Search and Destroy, especially against Vanquish. And I will say as well, I do somewhat feel for Vanquish here because it's not like Animus are doing things that are you would regularly see for a team on defense on Takeoff, Search and Destroy, right? Again, they are being aggressive and they're doing it through the most unconventional of routes. Vanquish are not prepared for this, and it's certainly showing. That's not an indictment on them. I think it's more of a compliment to what Animus have been bringing to the table here in these first 4 defensive rounds. And we're seeing the same thing once again, but the adaptations have been made. Nox is going to get pulled across almost immediately. And even despite the fact that they were pre-aiming, Shark is able to get away with that. 3 in a row for Shark, and he completely flips what was a pretty advantageous start on its head.
It's just that star power that you have. And a player like that, 11 kills in round number 5. There's the round. Well, hopefully the teams for game number 2 are already warming up because this one could be done very, very quickly. Sometimes the harder games to cast this one, but sometimes you've just got to revel in the madness that is Shark in the way that he's playing right now. 5 rounds in a row, he's found over 2 kills every single round. Incredible performance from him. Vanquish, you need to turn this on its head pretty quickly.
Yep. Last effort here from Vanquish, and Animus have finally changed tack somewhat. Again, they do have Nox through the middle of the map. So that's probably the most eminent danger for Vanquish here. But nonetheless, this is significantly more slow than what we've seen in the first 5 rounds of this Search and Destroy. And I think it's throwing Vanquish for a little bit of a loop. They are expecting that aggression, and it is not arriving. Finally, they get a sniff at somebody. It's going to be Narx. Shark also falls elsewhere, but Narx is still able to find value. And that smoke might actually be the escape route that he needs. He's going for more. Narx is hungry for it.
Doesn't find it. Says it will take him down. This looks like the most likely attacking round that Vanquish are going to see as that bomb goes down over towards B. Now this becomes a little bit more difficult. Keep an eye on Saze in the minimap number 1. Starting to make the flank. Ithila should have Lydia dead to right. Caught in no man's lands as he will find one on the flank. Saze answers back himself. Now a 2 versus 2.
They separate out so for Animus. Will Vanquish know? They should check that up top power position. ZZ's more preoccupied with the flank here, and Saze is going to be able to catch him off guard. Kuda reveals that position. There's well enough time here to get the defuse off. Kuda just needs to try and play their life if they can. Looks away at the wrong time, and Rasmo will punish Animus. Well, that was Vanquish's best look so far at any round in this Search and Destroy, and even that will not go their way.
Sensational work from Animus so far. I mean, look, we know defense is maybe a little bit stronger, but I mean, it's like not 6-0 stronger, right? Tough luck now, especially when you're the team on the defensive side for the second half of the game. You can see Animus making their way over towards this B side now. Plenty of utility used in that direction. It's going to open things up for them here as Vanquish just keeping things nice and steady. Lydia will find the first blood on a Nox, and Shark can't find anything himself. Has slowed down, still has 11 kills in 6 rounds, but can he find much else? Says will fall to Kirby, and it's looking like Vanquish might get themselves around on the board.
Yeah, I'm almost surprised in a way that Animus have chosen to play as defensively as they have here in this round. It's not worked out to begin with, but they do manage to take Kuda out of power position, so more manageable somewhat. If they can find another kill, that will open up a lot of options here for Animus in this round. Just waiting. First point of contact might well be Shark here at the tip of the spear for Animus. Is it a sharp spear, though? Certainly hasn't proven so in the past. Elsewhere, Gafulla's falling. I think the urgency, the need for Shark to make a move is upped quite significantly. Grasmo goes down elsewhere, so Shark now needs to pull off a 1 versus 4. That's a good start. He also knows that Lydia is here. He's going to wait patiently for that push.
These are deep waters that you don't want to be falling into when Shark is about. Should get himself caught here, but has time to play with. 40 seconds. Doesn't sound like a lot of time, but it's enough. Is he going to get the time in? No, he isn't. Shots from behind. Lydia, though, is going to be dealt with. Knows the other one's behind him as well. Turns and burns onto Zeze. And the only problem now is that time is ticking. 30 seconds. A 1v1 for Shark. It would be the 1v4 if he can pull it off. Kirby on the bottom, Shark on the top. Has the bomb in hand now. The grenade comes over. That might give Shark the information to pull off this 1v4.
I think they're about to cross map. Shark's on the hunt for the skill. He's going to go check out the power position up top. Kirby, does he get the timing? No, he does not. Away from the bomb, there he goes. So Shark's going to get it down over by A. Kirby's just going to wait. Now knows this isn't a B push bomb. Now going to be down. Shark's just going to hiss at the corner.
He waits for it. Kirby now just trying to take his time. Does he have any idea of where he's coming from? The information is not there for either player, but the advantage is very much with Shark. He's already dealt with 3. Bomb down, and Kirby about to come into his sights. How good is the sniper rifle for Kirby? It's going to have to be fantastic this time around. Shark just dips out, doesn't want anything to do with it. Time is very much ticking now. Kirby just not able to prevent the absolute inevitable. After the first 3 kills were found, you knew exactly which way this round was going and the map alongside of it. Shark gets the job done. Doesn't find the kill, will find the round. Animus 7-0 on map number 2.
I mean, look, Shark is one of those players. Last season, I don't think anyone gave him anywhere near enough credit. And this season, I think you're proving why he was one of those immediate pickups for Animus here, joining the lineup alongside Says to really boost this roster. And he does exactly that there in that final 1 versus 3. The fact that he gets away with that second kill, I mean, all right, he's in a 1 versus 1 head-on with Lydia. You can pick up that gunfight, that's fine, that's just Shark things. Getting what is effectively a turn-on for the second gunfight? Nah, I'd be closing the app, mate. I'd be off COD Mobile almost immediately after that.
I think the problem is I don't think Zeze even hit any bullets, and then all of a sudden you've just basically said, oh, I'm over here, Shark, please do not come and gun me. Yet for the entirety of the game, that's what he's been doing to everybody. So I mean, that was a ridiculous clip, that one there where he found the 3 around the stairs over towards the labs. It's just phenomenal play from him once again. What did he end on? I can't wait to see it. It should have been 40 in the end. He would have had 15 as well had he found the gunfight. Didn't matter though, was just playing his life. A 14-4 performance. An average 2 kills per round in the 7 that Animus allowed Vanquish to grace their presence on. Fantastic performance from Animus. 2-0 up now, heading into the control on Arsenal. Making light work of Vanquish at this stage. For Vanquish though, at this moment in time, what do you do in these scenarios? You've been bodied for 2 maps in a row. You're nowhere near. You're heading into an Arsenal control. There's got to be 0 confidence.
Yeah, and the way that Animus are playing, right? I mean, on the flip side of that conversation, there's going to be a wealth of confidence to the point where I don't really know if you can stop that momentum in favor of Animus. I mean, Vanquish have to find an answer pretty much immediately here in the control. And again, it's one of those conversation points that, just like I was talking about in the Search and Destroy, right, where I anticipated Animus being fast and aggressive, and that's exactly almost what we got there on the defense for those first 5 rounds. We won't count the 6th one because it was the only round in which they were playing passively. I anticipate the exact same kind of strategies out here on Arsenal Control, where this is one of the 2 control maps where you can have a heck of an egregious spawn trap, and I anticipate Animus on either side running up 2 players off the spawn to put that spawn trap through. I don't think they're going to care about the objectives here. That is likely how they're going to approach this control, because they know they can do it, because they know they can outgun Vanquish.
Yeah, I mean, look, they've outgunned them for the past 2 maps. The past 15 minutes of gameplay went, I mean, very, very quickly. Both these 2 teams coming into it with the highest of hopes, but if you Vanquish at this stage, how on earth do you see a way back into this one? Animus on the defensive side to kick things off. And what can Vanquish do? Can they offer something here to us in the control?
Oh, brilliant start from Animus. And again, keep an eye on those players wanting to push forward here. They're going to have to be cautious about players on the flank. But yeah, look at 3 players now wanting to put the spawn trap in effect. At the moment, they're just wanting to get that first bit of gunfights before moving forward towards the spawns. Gefilla does exactly that with 2, just 1 more player left to go. And now you are in trouble if you're a Vanquish, because you've got 2 players in that storm pad position. Albeit, Animus at the moment do not have anybody to be concerned about on the right side of the map. Just ZZ looking to push that one. He's surely going to be dealt with pretty soon, and he will. And yeah, now we get it. There's the full wipe from Animus. Vanquish now. Now you're in danger.
Now Lydia, if she falls here as well, she's the only player who actually managed to get away out. Dead to rights, and now you really are in trouble. Look at this push coming through from Gatilla as well. He's just going to go for it straight into the belly of the beast, quite literally. And he's going to find his way over towards the backside. They do turn and get rid of him. So some inroads here for Vanquish, but damage already very much done. Done okay here, actually. It could have went a lot worse than it has done. The grenade on its way in will slow them down. But the problem is there's so many corners to check, so many gunfights you're going to have to come into at a disadvantage. They're actually done okay here, trading as we get out, and get out they have done. A is looking like the immediate objective they'll go for, but they can't win a gunfight over here. You did all the hard work to get out, and that'll be the round. My God. So viewing Animus one of the good.
Sometimes, mate, I'm impressed with myself because I predicted exactly how that round was going to go, and it is almost exactly how Animus played it. Just right off the rip, straight into that spawn trap, completely eliminated anything that Vanquish could possibly do to get out, and I anticipate the exact same thing once again. Of course, Animus are now going to be the ones preoccupied with the objective, so they do have to actually push through A. Shark opens up the region with the first couple of gunfights, hits the reload, gets number 3. Cuban will deny number 4, but fortunately enough, Saze is there as the backup and will win the final gunfight of the flurry. But already Animus starting to hedge their bets here. It's going to be Razmo over by A. He's got the sniper rifle. Razmo for a couple of kills. Nice nade over the top to take him out of the play, but it is all but a distraction. Smoke and mirrors here as Animus now start to capture A.
And the problem is for Vanquish this time around, because operators getting up and running, then now you can use them to help you in a good position to not even allow the threat of a spawn trap to come through. And Gatilla's just going to shut down anything down the right-hand side. 3 dead to rights is ticking in. And Animus looking to make a move forward. Zezé now just find himself in a decent enough corner to find one. Stays well onto back. Shark is there to find another. The pressure in over towards B. Insurmountable here for Vanquish to try and deal with the shots from everybody on Animus. So far have been fantastic. And Shark is momentarily the last one alive. Zezé looking for the hunt here. Shark will continue to stay alive, and the rest of the team now on their way.
Yeah, damage already feels like it might well be done in this round, right? Yeah, they don't have map control, but look at the life differential already. It's pretty big, I'll say that much. Vanquish need to put a stop to Animus right about now. 3 players hitting the front of this control zone. ZZ from the middle of the map. Can they do anything? They will find one. Trades were pretty good. Lilia from the vent will actually surprise Narcs and Shark, and we'll be able to take them out of the play. But again, Animus continues to have lingering players in from behind. We'll be playing number 3 in Gefilla. A phenomenal game so far. 18 damn kills. Wants to add to the collection.
Looks so crispy with the Type 19, hasn't it? Every single shot, the centering is perfect. You're going to get shot in the back, irrelevant of that, so awareness maybe not top tier, but 14v9, now 13v9. Vanquish making this around they can win. A lot of investment coming through from them as well, as Kirby will find another. They managed to only find 3 kills in this game so far. It's looking a little bit slow though, as the kills will start to come back in the opposite direction. A little bit more map inroad, but 12v6 is going to be the really big problem. Make it 5. No lives remaining now for Vanquish. You have to be perfect.
It's just so difficult to be, and Animus are already starting to strategize how they want to push this one. A couple of players on the flank here. Narcs in from behind. Not the crispiest of shots, but it's okay because the team shots are good enough to take Cuban out of the play. Rest of the players up on the stairwell. You're stuck there as well. Saze is going to remove Kirby from it, and it's now just down to Kuda and Lilia. Well, they're going to be able to take a couple of players down. That is impressive enough, but in from behind, Narcs will surprise, and it is just down to Lilia now. 1 versus 8. Pre-fire is good, but again, you're going another direction to watch, and Shark will take you down. That early life disadvantage was just too much to handle for Vanquish. Animus, 1 round away from a clean 3-0.
The cleanest of 3-0s. I mean, over the last 2 maps, Vanquish haven't won a round, mate. This is... So viewing, if you're a Vanquish fan, if you're an Animus fan though, you are enjoying what is going to be a 20-minute series. Phenomenal so far from the side of Animus, and once again they're just trying to put the pressure on. They can do that with the operators just to kick things off. Lydia apparently put on her best Matrix impression. Fantastic work there. getting away from the equalizer. I swear they were just in the middle of the screen there, Brody. I'm not sure how they didn't hit. Irrelevant of that. Animus looking to try and fight from the back foot. Vanquish getting themselves into a good position here. A couple of ticks coming in and A, and pressure over towards B.
Yeah, it's easy going to bring out the equalizers here. Might as well throw everything at this round. You do have a life advantage at this point in time, so if there is ever time to do it, it would be now. ZZ trying to keep these guys away from surpassing the B point because we know where that will lead to, but they will at the very least capture A and add an extra 60 seconds on the board. Again, you need to ensure, though, you get these players out of the very power position in which they were able to dominate round number one. A couple of players will slip the net. Lydia's going to be one of them. Kuda will be another. The former is already down. And I think if anybody's going to blow this play wide open, it's probably going to be Kuda. Gafilla going to get shut down, though, with the Annihilator. That is a huge kill coming out from ZZ. It's going to at least alleviate some pressure towards this spawn trap. Zaze will get turned on by Kirby. And hold on for a second, folks, because Vanquish get a flurry of kills, and now they're able to get their way on towards B.
Kuda actually finds two of the spawns. Zaze is able to take him down, but Cuban eventually will find their way over towards it. There's only one player who's left on the flank. That's going to be Rasmo, actually, from the side of Animus. One tick already in. A lot of good work being done by Vanquish here, but here comes the break potentially. Says will be the first one through the door, finds one, Shock to find two, and shut it down momentarily. A couple more players to deal with. As Rasmus will find two on the spawn. He's just farming them off with the claw. Look at the kill feed in the top left corner. Yeah, where are your reinforcements? They're nowhere to be seen. They're being eviscerated off the spawn. Eventually we'll deal with it. It's an 8v9 after that flurry of kills from both sides. Eventually they'll get him out of their spawn, but Animus in a really good position to defend this 2-0 lead to make it 3.
Yeah, at the very least, Vanquish are in this round. They have been competitive. They could still win it. So you see with the Hunter Killer Drone, we'll pick up one. Gafilla trying to keep these guys away. Not good enough shots for the second kill, though, but it is still trades in favor of Animus. 60 seconds on the board. Vanquish have time for this. I'm them. I take this one slowly. I check all my corners. Get a couple of players on the flank. Lydia's going to be one of those, but I think Animus are wise to it. They're already starting to adapt here and split the forces a little bit, but here we go. Vanquish knocking at the door. Going to be the War Machine coming out from Kirby, who has not had the most stellar of games so far. Lydia and ZZ going to get caught short on that flank towards the front of the hill. Can anybody do anything? No. Cuban going to get shut down, and now it's just the respawning players. Only 2 of them left.
Difficult situation now for Vanquish. It's been difficult all the way through. Says he will find one a Shock, though. Makes it a 2 versus 4. Says with the War Machine will, at worst, slow them down. Plenty of utility being flown in. The rest of Animus just collapsing. Lydia finds another, makes it a 3 versus 2, makes it a 2 versus 1. All of a sudden, Zeze, with 20 seconds to go, has 2 players to deal with. Does he have anything to help him? Not far off the equalizers. And I wouldn't say it will be the worst investment for a round if you can get a hold of it. 3 seconds. Got to touch it. Did he see Says in the corner?
Says is actually inside the vent, so he's not going to see him whatsoever. ZZ is playing this one so smartly. Gafilla putting some pot shots through, though. You've got to imagine the double chow's going to come through right about now. First chow from Says. It's going to be the equalizers from ZZ. Can he find the second as well? Yes, he can. ZZ will save this round and save the game for now for Vanquish. The longest of routes taken, and it is the one that saves it for a Vanquish.
Fantastically played. We've seen that it was coming up potentially, and the investment has to come through. You would have loved to have kept a hold of it, but I think in that scenario, it's the right play. Now Animus looking for their attacking round back. They will not let them away with that. But Vanquish maybe with an inroad into this game. They were 2-0 down, 2-0 down in the series. It will be the Giga reverse sweep if they can pull it off now.
More than that as well, the way in which Animus won those first 2 games, this would be the most phenomenal of reverse sweeps.
I'm just sowing the seed, mate. I'm sowing the seed.
Well, you never know. Never count it out until the fat lady sings or until Vanquish actually turn up. Might do so here. But they have to put a stop to what Animus are putting down over by A. Perhaps Kuda on this flank through the vents might be the playmaker. No, he's just been spotted out by Rasmo. Fortunately enough, ZZ towards the point actually is putting on some pressure here. So Kuda might be given enough room to maneuver around this point and do some serious damage. And I actually love the team play coming in from Vanquish. Kuda might be able to get a second as well. The shot's not anywhere near as crispy as Sharks, though. And the latter will win that gunfight. So Animus still present over by A. And, of course, they have a pretty open route over towards B as well. Just one player to contend with here, who I think is trying to get some kind of spawn trap going. And Kirby, you've not got a chance, mate.
To be honest, he was getting away with a little bit of timing. And in the end, doesn't work out for him. Gafilla should be dead right and is. Zeze managed to find one in the middle of the map, and all of a sudden, this attack over now towards B is stumbling somewhat. Rasmo now just trying to pick his way out. Now, they don't have to worry too much about a bit of a spawn trap here. Cuban will find one, though. It's looking a lot better from Vanquish over these last couple of rounds. Animus still looking to get something done around the outside, though. There's going to be investment coming in very, very shortly. You can see there's 4 circles in the top left corner ready to pull the trigger. If Animus choose to invest, they'll only do it at the right time.
Feels like Vanquish at the very least have been in this round. They haven't managed to put that spawn trap together, though. They are certainly trying. Zeezy's very weak. Surely will end up falling to Narcs here, and they will. So Animus will clear out. Room to maneuver. Tempted flank does not work out, so there will be a little bit of calm here before the inevitable storm. Utility over the top. Lydia. Purifier in hand. Here we go. Looking at burn all these players, and Lydia finds it. 3 kills for Lydia, and that is pressure right back on Animus here. For a moment, they felt like they were good. Lydia shows them they are absolutely not.
They were taking a breath, waiting for the moment. Oh, Cuban not. It popped the Annihilator, and Rasmo will deal with him with the sniper. And all of a sudden, this might open the door. 30 seconds to go. Vanquish absolutely had the life advantage, but Kirby still in that corner. It's looking like another round for Vanquish. 3 players left for Animus. This is going to be super tough now. 3 versus 10. He still wouldn't put it past them, but a 2 versus 10 might be a step too far. Wonderfully done from the side of Vanquish, investing where they need to. And Animus just never really pulled the trigger. They have an opportunity still to get in here, but this would be something if they can pull it off. There's another one from Says, though. Doesn't find it on the Kuda, and that should be the round. Really good job coming in from Vanquish. In the end, relatively comfortable.
I gotta say, I don't know what it is. I mean, obviously it isn't one of those situations where we are watching a different Vanquish. I don't want to go that far, but it does feel like Vanquish have been a lot better with their operators over the last couple of rounds. Certainly there towards the end, we saw great utilization coming out from Lydia with that Purifier plate to garner map control that they otherwise would not have had. So Vanquish starting to get their feet wet here in the game. But is it too late? Reverse sweep into control. That's how they've got to start this one. Kirby off the start already with the War Machine doing some serious damage. That's 3 for Kirby towards the point. It completely clears house. Nobody can contend with inside the vents as well. And why the heck not wouldn't you push this? Again, you've got the Claw. You've got the War Machine. You've got all your utility ready to go to keep Animus at bay. This is a solid start from Vanquish.
And there's a minimum of 1 operator being used by the side of Animus. You are in a lot of trouble now. Big danger coming in over towards A. They will just about be able to clear them out from Shark. Rasmo does have a Predator missile, and he will be no doubt calling that one in. Oh, the shot's coming in, and that is maybe the danger. Oh, this can just turn on its head so quickly. And now the aggression will come through from Animus. We see them in round number 1. Put them into the blender. Vanquish, you're not far from it.
Animus will stabilize here. For how long? Vanquish are being real pesky in this control. Trades galore. Animus want to get players in those power positions. The jump up will fail. Falter for some reason by Narcs. Just couldn't manage to get in towards the window. And now Vanquish on their way towards the point. Rasmo, the player with the sniper rifle here, going to have to scarper towards the stairs and get a little bit of backup from the team. Gafilla's not going to be able to do anything towards the point. Zeezy's got the equalizers out as well, so I imagine part of that were the team shots. Rasmo overwhelmed. Narcs can't do anything either, and it's a full Vanquish feed. They're on towards B, and that second tick is through.
It's already in. The third about to follow as well. Do Animus even try for anything here? They will find 2 kills on the flank, but B is gone. That is done. There's a minute added to the clock. The kills need to go Animus's way, and they have done. This can very quickly change once again. Kuda, oh, he's going to get snapped onto from Gathilla, who finds 2. All of a sudden, welcome to the spawn trap. Shark's only able to find 1 with the equalizer. The lives in favor of Animus. But 1 tick is all you need over towards A. It's 1 good push from Vanquish, and they can win this game.
And that has to be how they approach this. Because very quickly, your lives are dwindling, and your chances of reverse sweeping this series and this control are diminishing. But they have managed to escape. Only 1 bit utility on side for Animus, and it's going to be the Claw coming out from Rasmo. They're going to use it pretty much straight away here. They want to put this game away right about now. Can they do it? Yes, they can. Rasmo for a couple of kills. Says will deal with Kuda, the threaten from behind, and Lydia also gets shut down. And now I think the light is starting to fade from Vanquish here in this game. There goes ZZ Cuban. Can you save this game? A 1 versus 10. And these players are now just messing with him as well. Cuban dead to rights, and Vanquish, they put up a fight towards the end. But it is albeit their ghost talking. They are donezo in this series. A 3-0 from Animus.
I mean, they offered us some hope over towards the backside of that one. Look, a really good performance when it came down to the actual control from Vanquish. To be honest with you, they definitely did threaten. You think about that 1v2 coming through from Zeze towards the end. of that. I think it was that third round in the end. But yeah, for Animus, I suppose, I mean, you can forgive them for taking their foot off the gas ever so slightly, and you can also give credit over towards Vanquish as well for doing a really good job. But ultimately, it is going to be Animus who come out with a 3-0 win. I would like to see in another map, though. Vanquish made that very, very close there. And, you know, we'll talk about the positives for Animus. Of course, they will walk away with the series in a convincing fashion. But for Vanquish, decent control game coming out from them. Search and Destroy and Hardpoint, yeah, okay. Not as decent. Not even as remotely. But I think, you know, if you look at the control, that's maybe something you can take away from this game. But I think for me, it was those 2 kills from Gatilla. That's what set you way, way back. 35 kills to his name. Really close control there, Brody, but not a close series.
Man, I do have to give Vanquish props because they did manage to make it competitive, right? In those final 3 rounds, even despite the fact that they were able to lose that last round by, I think it was an 8-kill disadvantage still, it did look like they found some life in them. And that is the Vanquish that we expected to see. It just was not there for the vast majority of the series, simply outclassed on every single map. That is the Animus we expected to see, though.
Which is, I'm taking that as a positive, okay? Because we've seen too many times where teams that we expect to be at the top sometimes fall a little bit shy of the bar that we're setting for them. And Animus is one of those teams in this region that we are looking to really be contending for that spot out of Challenge Finals, okay? Once we get the Challenge Finals, who's going to make it out of this region to champs? And so a strong performance on behalf of Animus. And for everybody at home, don't forget, this does not mean that Vanquish is out by any means, okay? They will just drop down into that lower bracket and they will continue on the competition tomorrow and still have a chance of making their way through to the Challenge Finals as we get a chance to take a look at the bracket here and see exactly what I'm talking about. First match of the day is now done. Animus moves through on the upper portion of that bracket. Vanquish drops down, which means Animus will be now waiting to see who the winner of our next match is, because that's who will face off against them for that first spot ton.
Yeah, not long to wait, I should say, for Animus. And of course, we will get to see their second game this evening as our third game of the day. So yeah, it's an interesting one. I think, you know, for them, they will not be too bothered about who really comes into that winners match, so to speak. I think they'll almost be slightly disappointed that the control went the distance that it did. I think, look, they look fantastic in maps 1 and 2, brilliant, almost flawless. But then the control on Arsenal has raised some potential questions that teams will look at and so say, okay, well, they looked fantastic in the first 2 maps against that team, so why does it slip so far to become so close in the control? Well, clearly they need a little bit more practice on that. So I think that's what some teams will look at and so say the control wasn't necessarily so hot.
Yeah, definitely a little bit of a takeaway there, but that's just our first match of the day. We still have more Call of Duty Mobile action in store for all of you at home. Before we get into it, though, it's time for a short break, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Series is brought to you by Snapdragon Elite Gaming, Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra, Monster Energy, and DHL.
like the players are ready. Here we go!
All right, everybody, welcome back to the Snapdragon Pro Series, where we are preparing to get into our second match of the day, of day 3 here in our Challenge Season 4 EU. And up around the corner, we have Wanted versus Nexus. And just before we start diving into this conversation, you would have seen Wanted as Foreigners last week. New name here, Brody.
Yeah, absolutely. So these guys have changed names, well, I guess a couple of times now. You guys might know them previously as the Mont roster from last season, at least for the most part. So returning the roster, not shown here, not sure that means they've been dropped from the roster or just on the bench, would be Jace, alongside Etsy and Fahim, both of which were pretty good players last season, as was Jace. They're joined by Chumpy and Kairu, who both proved to be pretty competent players during the Open Finals. So for me, this is a massive improvement from Mont last season, and it makes them potential contenders against the best of the best in EU, but they've got to get through Nexus first.
Yeah, let's see what they can bring to the table. I think it's about trying to find that sort of top 4 placement for teams like this. We've talked about it plenty of times, and I mean, it's a good opportunity to get things going. I think for both these teams as well, to have a competitive game against another team who are also fighting for that spot. Getting a win against them just puts you in that further position. Yes, okay, we are playing GSL, but to just get one up on them already puts them further back away, keeps that competition away. This is a super important game for both these two teams.
And you both mentioned it as well. Obviously, teams that we've seen before, players on Nexus should be familiar if you guys have been following along with SPS journey as well. So experience on the board here on behalf of both these squads. We'll see what they can bring to the table here. It should be a close match as we get a chance to take a look at our map picks as well. See what our teams want to be playing on here in this next series. It's the Hacienda Hardpoint, Brody.
Honestly, I don't know how much more I can keep this up. My surprise fakeness of the surprise. I don't know. I got nothing left. All right, it's Hacienda Hardpoint. Expect it in every bloody European series. It's this season's Fire Range Search and Destroy. So it is there. Yeah, which is also there, funnily enough. It is there. I will say, again, generally speaking, we look at like what these teams were like last season, because again, these are effectively new iterations of Mont and Nexus from last season. And so you'd be looking to what maps were these guys good at last season, and the honest truth is not very many of them. So it's kind of tough to be positive about this series. I think, honestly, we're going to be looking at, this is the first real look at these two teams in this competitive setting, and I'm excited to see what they look like on these maps.
Yeah, nothing else from me, to be honest with you. Having a look over towards it, I mean, Wanted really just going fully down that typical European COD mobile scene with the Hacienda and Fire Range pick, both of them. And Nexus coming in with Kurahana in there as well, so that should be interesting. Summit Hardpoint map number 4, but in Arsenal, again, like we just got to see it, of course, with the new spawns coming through, that is going to absolutely affect it, and see which way it does play out. So I think a strong start for the teams here is important, because maps 2 and 3 are kind of a bit of a toss-up for me. I think, though, if you get towards the latter stages, I genuinely think it's very hard one to call, to be honest, which is kind of what we want after the last game. I think we kind of got to this stage a lot quicker than maybe we considered. So for both these two teams, a good game here will be nice to give.
I also do like the point that you made, Brody, about the fact that maybe they didn't have the best map pool last time around, but with the changes that we now have to the map mode combinations, as well as some new maps in here, some new rosters, this combo could end up lending itself to it being a really fun and exciting match. So everybody at home and chat, let us know who you think is going to be taking home match number 2, because it is about ready to get underway. So let's just keep this thing going.
Alrighty, well, actually, I did just take a look at the maps from last season, the exact maps, and it turns out Hacienda Hardpoint was terrible for both of these teams last season. So,
excellent.
You know what? We're looking for some improvements. It's a happy day, mate. We're looking for some goodness on Hacienda Hardpoint from these two teams, and it is worth saying again, we're looking at these teams that, in my mind, undoubtedly have made roster changes that have made the teams a lot better. I think specifically looking at Nexus as well. You've got Balance on the lineup now, who isn't actually part of this series, so you know what? Why do I even bother speaking? Nexus aren't playing him in this series. Let's just see how this goes. I'm very excited for this one. This should be a close matchup.
Don't tempt me with a good time, Brody. Don't tempt me with a good time. Hopefully we do, because I think the last game kind of just showed that the gap is very much existent once again. We talked about it so much last season in terms of some of these squads who are just way off the pace. But can they kind of give themselves something to build on? As I sort of said there, it's a very important game for both these two teams coming into it. To find a win up against each other, it kind of puts themselves further ahead and the other team further back down. Good start for Nexus over towards P1. You got spawns over towards P2 in your favor as well. Not that gunfight if you're Denisio, though. So you will only be able to find one, and they will eventually find their way back into this one. So P2 rotation for Nexus is all they've got to write home about right now with 20 seconds to go at P1.
A solid start from Wanted on the whole kit, keeping Nexus at bay away from this hard point. Couple of players already starting to look towards that rotation though, and Legacy has his eyes set on the scrap time towards P1 as well. So real opportunity here for Nexus to swing things back in their favor at the beginning of this game. Big kill from Denisio down those stairwells as well. But be careful about those back spawns, though, if you're Nexus. And you also have to be careful about players that have managed to get through the front completely unnoticed. Darix is one of those players, of course, did not play in the Open Finals, isn't here alongside Wanted for the moment. And they do get removed from the hardpoint. But I talked about those open spawns towards the back line here, Ton. It is going to be Nexus not in control of them. Wanted do manage to flip things out. And as I say that, they flip right back in favor of Nexus. It's going to be Denisio spawning in. And now they need to hold.
Oh, it's a tough one. It's a big gunfight for Champi too. While not dying, his teammate to come through with the kill. Not going to be a pinch setup here, though. It's everybody just pushing from the ramp side. Let's see if we can get something going. Looks like a war machine's ringing in from one side of things, or it was doing anyway. Etsy, Fahim can combine well. Denisio is there, though, to try and pick up the pieces. Etsy will find another, though, and all of a sudden you're in a good spot to defend. Etsy falls pretty much immediately, though. Legacy through the front door. Contestious one so far. Darix will find one. Fahim with another. Back and forth we go. Darix, can he find a third? Yes, he can. Breaks it open with the help of his teammates. Spawn out from Legacy towards the backside. Might catch them off guard. Not quite. Really good job from Wanted of what you get. Is it enough? It's all right if you get the rotation over towards P3 as well, though, which they do have in their corner.
Nexus just behind Wanted now. We wanted a competitive hard point. It looks like we've got one thus far, but whether or not will change as Wanted start to heat up here. Different ball game entirely. It's worth saying they've got a lot of utility in the back pocket. They've got 3 operators ready to go, and they might have to utilize them pretty quickly here because Nexus are starting to chain kills together. All of a sudden, Kairu left isolated inside the hard point, and they're going to get shut down. And now Wanted, coming off the respawn here, have to brute force their way back in towards the hill. It's time for those operators. The gravity vortex gun. This thing is deadly for zone control. It is so difficult to not get yourself caught up in those vortexes, and you're seeing exactly why right now. Champy's going to have to bring out that Predator missile as well. Wanted are throwing everything at this one. Darix really forcing the issue with the equalizers. We talked about those operators potentially coming into the play. They absolutely do for Wanted. They really wanted that time.
Yeah, but Nexus don't invest a whole lot themselves, so if they can keep themselves in this hill somewhat, they can do something. But Fahim completely shuts that down. So 10-15 seconds, that was potentially on offer. Wanted to get a lot out of that, but is it enough for that investment? Nexus now going to be on the rotation. They must lock some decent time in here, and they've got plenty of ability to help them alongside of it. You can see already Legacy popping the equalizer, can find 1 and 2 as the initial kills coming through from Nexus at just the right time, as Legacy will find a third.
Yeah, I was going to say, I need to see those operators coming out from Nexus right about now, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So Legacy getting those equalizers out is a perfect time to do it. Legacy still finding value with it as well. It's another kill, 2 kills to add to the tally before he finally falls. So big reason why Nexus are able to get the first touch on this hard point, but now they have to continue to hold it. Fane's now going to bring out the Sparrow. Next one up here to do some damage for Nexus. Also Sparrow on the other side from Etsy. What value can they find? Fanes is going to take himself out. The Sparrow, that's so unfortunate. Etsy Sparrow is still in play for the moment. Turtle now going to fire back here with the equalizers through the middle of the point. So Nexus still fighting tooth and nail for this time, but Wanted continue to touch. The smoke continues to give them the coverage. They're going to have to make some kind of crazy play to remove them from the situation. I think Legacy did just try that there with that jump up down low. Wanted, though, have done a really good job at contesting this time. Nexus will still fight for the back 10 seconds, and I've got a feeling they're probably going to get it. But still, I think Wanted will be happy with how that hill went.
Yeah, I think, you know, if you offer up what you got at 3 and then what Nexus got at 4, works out in Wanted's favor. Especially if you look at the scoreline. It's a tight game, but it's a one that Wanted will take the lead in. Heading over towards P1 again. It wasn't too bad of a start from the Wanted side. Can they continue in that vein of form? Looking over towards the operator side of things, keeping a check on 1 apiece for either side. In terms of the slaying, it's looking pretty even. This game is a close one, Brody. Definitely a little bit different than what we've seen in the previous series.
You could say that. Wanted certainly keeping this one more in their favor, though. Again, it is a very close scoreline at this point. This is much more what we've come to expect out of Hacienda Hardpoint games. Wanted just a small lead over a Nexus here for the moment. Nexus now going to start to get some kills in their favor, though. Keep an eye on that rotation towards Nu. Nexus currently do have it, but they don't want to rely on it. Giving away the last 20 seconds here to Wanted, I think would be quite damaging to their chance. But at what point do you just do that? At what point do you not bother going for this hill? Because there's the spawn flip coming on through. Wanted now get the vast majority of time away from P1 compared to what Nexus are able to grab. And if they manage to take out HBC, they will get full control of the spawns for Nu as well.
Gotta stay alive. If you're HBC, the shots are decent enough, but not good enough to get rid of them. But is it maybe just a distraction as the rest of the team coming in from the water side? HBC will get taken down, so you've got to rely on one direction and one direction only. Eyes up, guns up. Can you hold it down? Etsy will be able to find one. Champy with a Gravity Vortex gun will find another. Etsy through the smoke, another one as well. Wanted starting to get a little bit of a gap. And it's about that comfort that you can sometimes carry into a couple more hills. Can they continue to extend? 35 seconds remaining here on this hill, and it's a kill feed that's just lighting up in the favor of Wanted so far.
Just continues to go all right for Nexus. I think this rotation will be one that we look back on here, especially if Wanted are able to garner the last 25 seconds off the back of this hard point. I think that's why Nexus is being so aggressive and trying to stop them for the last 20. They're going to go for it. Denicio on one side, Feints on the other. They are winning gunfights. Can they take the last couple of players from Wanted down? Feints, excuse me, is going to bring out weapons, take out Champy. Will do so for the scrap time. So Nexus just going to be shy of 100 points here. But again, Ton, going back towards that rotation from the last hill towards that garage hill, that is absolutely everything to Wanted. It's given them a huge advantage over Nexus.
That advantage is something you want to keep a hold of. As I mentioned in the previous hill, it's something that you can then start to build on. You can start having to not worry about this scrap time. You can start thinking about a late rotation because you know you have the opportunity to find the break. You have that time. Tell can find one. Champy, Darrek's answering back. HBC and Legacy have not done too bad of a job here, though. It's been a big investment from the side of Wanted once again. And have they gotten much for it? Not a great deal. Darrek's though through the front window. Can he find anything? Not quite. Good break coming in from Nexus, but it's one they absolutely needed.
Yeah, they need to hold on to it, though. They can't afford to give this time away to Wanted. They can't afford to let Wanted in towards the hard point for any form of contention if they want to get back in towards this game. And already Champy's starting to do that with a couple of kills. Darrek's now towards the hill as well. Slides in towards Tin. Is going to get shut down. So a couple of wayward efforts there from Wanted to try and take that time away from Nexus. But if the idea for Nexus is off the back of this hard point to get in back in towards this game, they've done exactly that. Wanted going to have to retreat, licking their wounds over towards the next hard point. And this is the hard point where it is incredibly easy to contest. Just get a smoke down, get yourselves in towards the contest spot just around the corner. And Nexus are throwing everything at this hill. 2 Predator missiles come down from the heavens. Legacy and Turtle also bringing out their operators. Nexus want this rotation. They might have just got it.
Yeah, it looks like they're getting a hold of it. And with a 20-second lead now, that one that Wanted had has dissipated. And now all of a sudden you may well have something to play with, though, if you are Wanted. You can see the Gravity Vortex gun nearly coming through for the side of Wanted, but plenty of operators on show for Nexus. It has been a game that has swung back and forth. We're definitely heading into a third rotation of hills here with 35 seconds to go on P4, though. The kill starting to come through from Wanted at just the right time. There's the break. There's Nexus completely dead. And here, his 25 seconds on offer for Wanted.
They need this last 25 seconds to rebuild the lead once again against Nexus. This is a big investment coming out from Nexus. Can they hold? Legacy just trying to contest through the smoke once again. Turtle's going to try to do the exact same thing. The former is going to find a couple of kills. Nicely done from Legacy. Fahim's going to go in for the last bit of time. Almost gets a turn on towards Feints. Has a couple of different directions to look out, and that is just too much to ask of him in that situation. As we get into the third and final set here, Ton, I think that last hard point was everything for Nexus, right? They're able to get back into the game off the back of great operator utilization. They knew how important getting control of that kill was. They did exactly that.
They had to, because P2 is going to be coming up in 55 seconds. We looked at what Wanted did to them last time around. They'd be looking for a repeat. Smoke's going in over towards P1, just soaking up any time where you possibly can. That's going to be an Annihilator dropped in from Kairu, and all of a sudden that's P1 control. 40 seconds to play for here. Kairu's just lining them all up. There's 3 in a row from him. We'll be looking for the 4th across the courtyard. The rest of the team just doing their work, though. They're just about holding on to some time, but 30 seconds remaining now. Nexus get in momentarily. Kairu, he's got X-ray vision through the smoke. Turtle Legacy falling down. Another one with his other gun as well. And that's some good time for Wanted over towards P1. 20 seconds remaining here. P2 rotation coming up. Wanted in the driving seat again.
Yeah, Wanted Looking for this time. Kyra's going to bring the Predator missile down to help on out. Darix and Champy also combining for 3. Want this last 20 seconds, and they are surely going to get it. Champy, the last player inside the kill, is just chilling at the moment, and he's going to get that last 3 seconds, but now we move towards rotation, and it's going to be Wanted here. Feint's already opening things up with a couple of kills, though. Nexus are knocking at the door.
Oh, that's huge.
War Machine coming out, and it doesn't actually get anything. Turtle's going to double up here, but towards the front of the kill. Wanted still need this kills.
25 seconds to go. You got to go through the front door, and all of a sudden, the entire arsenal is out and trying to keep you at bay. Darix will find a second on HBC, looking to find a third down water side. Just continues to put that pressure in. He's got it unlocked. Everybody else turn around. We know where they're coming from. 10 seconds away from Wanted for map number 1.
Nexus now going to get that spawn flip through for one player. They need to try and play their life if they can. It's going to be Feint. HBC around the front with a War Machine. You've got to touch now. If you're Nexus, you just can't get it done. Wanted are able to close out that map off the back of a solid P1, P2 rotation, but they definitely had to work for it, and that is much more a usual Hacienda Hardpoint to come out here for COD Mobile.
Yeah, and what I actually really liked, and at the time I was questioning in my brain, I think when we seen that final P1 and you seen the Annihilator pulled out, I was like, hold on a second, do they really fancy this here? P2 coming up, you were so good in that scenario. Well, they got like 30 seconds from P1. It puts them in such a good position heading over towards P2, which they managed to keep the spawns for because they kept that pressure on. Really good job coming through from Wanted. Great heads up play. And hey, I know, look, yeah, you see the Annihilator popped out with the operator side of things for Wanted. You've still got to get the job done if you're Cairo, and my God, did you not? It was 4 or 5 before he fell. And then that just makes that rotation over towards P2 just so seamless. I mean, these were the shots right till bang, there you go. There's the one through the smoke. Found another one after that with his standard weapon. But that's a difference maker. You find some good time here, but look at everybody chipping in. Fahim, you need to step your game up. Get yourself in the 30s, son. Everybody else from Wanted getting the job done. Fantastic game from them in map number 1 and take a deserved lead heading into the search and destroy.
Yeah, just a solid start to the series from Wanted. Right from the very off there in that game number 1, they felt like they had an advantage and they were able to hold it for basically the majority of the game. Nexus made it close though. Again, I want to give them props because their operate usage is something, generally speaking, we always talk about with COD Mobile teams. You know, it's something we always want to see teams improve on, and it's something that I definitely think Nexus did a really good job of there and recognizing when they needed to throw everything at hard points to keep themselves in the game. And they definitely did. It was just those final 2 hard points that fell. And look over towards the final scoreboards here. HBC and for Feints, the players to look out for. But Darix, Kairu, and Etsy, the former of those 3 players, did not play in Open Finals. Darix is joining the lineup here for Challenge Season, having a solid game number 1. So it feels like a good choice, at least, for Darix to come off the bench and actually be playing in this matchup. Didn't really know what to expect out of him. Looking pretty good so far.
Yeah, a couple of really big moments. I think towards P2, was it the first or second time around, found himself 3 or 4 on an entry, locked it down all on his own after that as well. Really good job from Wanted in map number 1. They'll be hoping to carry that momentum into map number 2. I'm interested to see what we see here because I think now if your Nexus backs against the wall a little bit, but that was a Wanted map pick, as is map number 5 if we do get there in the firing range. So relying on the old faithfuls when it comes down to COD Mobile here in Europe. Hey, look, we are well versed on this now. I mean, look, I don't know if you casted Hacienda way back. It was a while ago now. I don't know if you are in nappies at that stage. You know, wow. It was like 4 or 5 years ago. So we got plenty of experience on it from years ago, yes, Brody, but we're getting plenty more now as well.
Yeah, well, we are going to a new map here into game number 2. It's Kurahana Metropolis, and this is one of those maps that threw a couple of teams off back in the Open Finals. Will it throw these guys off, though, is the question. We'll see. Immediately off the rip here. Immediate push towards B. The vast majority of those gunfights being won by Nexus, but it does come down to a 3 versus 3 as Fahim's going to trade things out. Wanted have done exactly what they desired. They've got themselves on towards B. Nexus are going to approach this retake from 3 different angles. This has to be timed well.
What can they manage to find? Wanted holding this down. We'll find the first 2 kills on that initial engagement. Now all of a sudden, Denisio after in a 1 versus 3. Yeah, a Tundra might be good, but I think I'd rather have something else here. Doesn't find the shot on the Fahim. He'll take him down. It's a nice round number 1 from Wanted. Attacking round underneath your belts.
Yeah, I gotta say towards the end there, the 3 versus 3. I don't want to criticize too heavily, but I imagine the timing probably could have been a little bit better on their individual pushes there. Maybe would have made the collapse a lot more palatable, but alas, Great start from Wanted to force their way on towards the site. And I got the feeling from the little that we saw this in the Open Finals that the way to play this one on the offense is to just try and get fast and furious and aggressive and overwhelm teams on towards the bomb site. That feels like the play from Wanted for sure. Darius is going to get shot short though. Does that discourage Wanted on the play? It doesn't feel like that's the case, at least immediately. They are desperately looking for the trades. Kairu and Etsy are going to find that. Kairu finds even more value with the R9. They have brute forced their way towards the site, and now they're getting that bomb down.
Same old story. Find a way through, just find those moments, and then all of a sudden you're blasted into the next round of your HBC. Turtle with the R9 here though. Oh, Kairu's just gonna play it with him, finds the shot himself. Turtle falls, Wanted. Finish map number 1 fantastically. They're coming into map number 2 with the same vibe.
Just the same kind of story for the first offensive rounds from Wanted here. Again, they know how important getting onto the sites is, how difficult it is to retake. Same thing once again. Trophies going down to deal with any of that incoming utility over the top. And Nexus, immediately off the back of losing the first blood here, have scarpered away from the site. So Wanted once again getting onto it. No immediate trade from Nexus. They're waiting for a double push here through the middle of the map. HBC able to peek out for a 1. So again, more manageable, but it is so difficult to retake.
How do you manage to get yourself back in if you're Nexus? Oh my goodness me, you're just falling to the wayside. Legacy, he's the only one who can answer back. He's got Denisio as a little bit of help here potentially, but he hasn't really been able to get things going either. So Legacy, what can you do? Waiting for the push to come through for Denisio. It's never going to happen. Etsy will be on Overwatch. This 3 versus 2 is definitely looking more like a Wanted round, but next kill is absolutely crucial. If it goes Wanted's way, you need to find a 1 versus 3 for Nexus.
Kairu's just spied out Denisio as well. That's information. You know these guys aren't going to approach from the same angle. And again, it's that same kind of story where these guys just do not time their hits aggressively whatsoever. Long-range R9 shots there to take Legacy down. Denisio falling on the other side. Wanted. It has been the same story for the first 3 rounds. They are so good at getting onto these sites. And Nexus, I don't really know how you respond to this. I mean, what do you do to stop Wanted from doing what they've done the first 3 rounds?
It's been difficult. Oh, it's going to be even more difficult now as HBC gets caught out being aggressive. Wanted with another first blood and with another couple of kills falling their way. We advertise this as a close one, but Wanted are making it look anything but. The only saving grace for Nexus is, yeah, they have plenty of bodies where Wanted want to go. But are those 2 players on the B side going to be able to deal with 5 members of Wanted who are about to hit it very, very quickly through the front door? Turtle will deal with 1. Kairu will trade that one out. And all of a sudden, if you're fancy, you're running for the hills. There's 4 players inside of this site now. We'll get this bomb down. B will be the objective now for Nexus, who are going to have 1 player. Legacy's the only one who can answer. It's a 1 versus 4 technically for Legacy. Now makes it a 1 versus 3. And it's all over. Wanted are running away with this one.
And that is a change of the strats there from Wanted. They recognize that, hey, Nexus are probably going to try and counteract us by being aggressive on the defense this time around. So let's hold off at the start of the round and wait for them to come to us. Perfect read from Wanted. They've got the collection on the bookshelf. They've got the anthology in the backlog. 4-0 for Wanted. Nexus needs to get something going right about now here on the defense. Once again, aggression this time around towards B. But First Blood has been drawn in favor of Nexus this time around, and Wanted haven't been able to trade things out almost immediately. So I don't know if they're going to be stuck here in this situation. Netsy's the very least going to be able to find 1, is hungry for more, but you've got to be careful about how aggressively you peek that 1, especially as bomb needs to be picked up and needs to be really rescued from this position.
They're just wasting time though. Darix has hit the fattest of flanks. He's found 2. Now the rest of the team can start to collapse on in. Chambi will eventually fall. Turtle will find 1 at Darix, and all of a sudden it's Etsy left in a 1 versus 2, but a doable one thanks to his teammates' big flank. The timing, as is ever with Call of Duty, is woeful for Etsy. In this situation though, would have put it past him. I think you will now though. He's going to walk on through. Nexus will eventually get a round on the board. And just about 4-1.
Man. Finally around for an Nexus, and the difference maker you have to feel as they stop Wanted to get on towards the site, and Wanted do not immediately get a trade off the back of that first blood. Darix almost makes it possible for Wanted, but good on Nexus. They're in the search and destroy now. They've got a foot in the door. And once again, we are seeing that same kind of strategizing coming out from Wanted. They're anticipating some kind of aggression from Nexus, but Nexus at this time are not fighting. They're going to force Wanted out towards the site. Utility over the top. Information once again for a Wanted here on that first blood. Etsy and Fahim's going to draw it now, just down a turtle on the site, and they are very quickly removed. Wanted successful once again on towards B.
Oh my god, Cairo, how on earth is he doing this? Denicio's the only one who can answer back. Found Fahim, actually, who was behind Cairo. He was about to find another, by the way. Shots around the corner. Yeah, there's another one. Cairo finds a minimum 3 or 4 in that round. And wanted a 5-1 to the good. We'll be turning things around now. Let's see if Nexus have as much fortune on the attack, but it just feels like the aggression from Wanted worked so perfectly. Doesn't necessarily do you any harm with Cairo finding 10 over 6 rounds.
Wanted just need 2 rounds here on the defense, and for Nexus, it doesn't feel like anywhere near as aggressive as a start as Wanted were doing to them. Legacy jumping through the window. Great patience from Darix. Will find that kill, and Turtle is unable to trade. That jump up would have been just too much to ask, and things just go from bad to worse here for the last few players on Nexus. Wanted closing the vice on these players, and they are looking every single corner where these players are at as well. Denicio 1 versus 4, not even the first kill. The shotgun is way too strong. And Nexus, again, I mean, they just don't look like they can do anything in that situation. They don't have the same venom that Wanted did on their offenses.
So what's the play now for Nexus? Well, first of all, you need to find 6 runs in a row. So good luck. Utility out. You've been forced into a corner pretty much immediately. So information probably was gained by Wanted. They will find the first blood. Etsy will find a second as well. Maybe just lining themselves up. Feints and HBC need a ridiculous turnaround. Making it 2 versus 3. So Etsy will eventually fall. Can they find anything else? As HBC will find a second 2v2.
Yeah, they've got to stay there though. HBC finds 3. And I was going to say, I mean, this is a problem for Nexus, right? Because they've got to go out towards that bomb site. They've got to retrieve that bomb because the bomb carrier was unfortunately the entry player. And that was the biggest issue for Nexus. But HBC completely wipes that issue off the board. So now we go to a 2 versus 1. Nexus have a lot of options here. And Champy, I mean, he's got so much to do. He's got to choose one of these sites or potentially go for a flanking play. It might be an attempt at the latter of those 2 options. Maybe the longest of wraps in from behind, though. Oh, he's going the other way.
Expected the push to come through the other side, but they were just waiting for Champy to make the aggression come through himself. So Champy now is about to get this information. This bomb will go down momentarily. Yeah, okay, they're not there then, are they? No. He's on his way, but it will be too little too late. Checking corners, it's what he's going to have to do now. He's given up a lot of this map control, so he's expecting enemy around every single corner, but ultimately his objective will be B. The 1v2 for the map win would be difficult.
Got to check so many different corners as well. Nexus are far removed from this site.
They're
back to back. Yeah, and that's the other thing. These guys are stacking. Can work out sometimes. You might be able to piece them up. Champy's not even going to go for the defuse fake. Yeah, Feints is going to get the final kill in that round. The Nexus, again, got to give HBC some love in that round because he turns that entire thing on its head with the 3 kills he's managed to get. They're able to retrieve the bomb. Make it work. So Nexus refusing to die here. Keeping the search and destroy going. First of 6 rounds on the bounce, potentially?
Be some comeback. And it was a fantastic round for them as well, especially from HBC. Finds the majority of the kills for his team, but I mean, Turtle's going to be the first blood to come through from Cairo, just lingering in an awkward little spot. That's going to make it very, very difficult to now find a push. They've got to get the bomb back. Cairo is going to be ready and waiting for any player to find that push around. He's taking a couple of bullets, though. We'll have to back on down, but the rest of Wanted in a good position to deal with this. Bomb going down over towards A. Brave, though, from the side of Nexus. They're not going to be able to get it down. They have to turn around, and that might be a mistake, as Darix will find one. Legacy can answer back with a kill on the Champy. Fahim finds one onto HBC. It's again a 4v2 in favor of Wanted.
Oh, Feints is going to go down as well. That's so difficult. Yeah, Darix is going to brutalize the body to Legacy. Finds 1 kill, but can't find any value beyond that as Wanted wipe the floor with Nexus in search and destroy. It looked like a pretty close series at the start. You know, that Hassie had a Hardpoint promise. It's a really close one between these 2 teams. We get into the search and destroy, and it feels like Wanted just found another gear that Nexus just couldn't find.
You find yourself 2-0 down in this series. And again, ever since, well, after that first rotation of Hills, you're like, yeah, okay, close game, no problems. Since then, Wanted haven't quite been dominant in the hard point, but they were very much the stronger side in the Search and Destroy. I mean, Kairu here with the KRM, he was causing absolute havoc. This was, I mean, look, if you look at it as well, one of the 2 rounds that Nexus found, they had to have HBC just pull it out of the fire somehow. So really good job from the side of Wanted. Just a fantastic performance all around so far, weighing themselves up very, very nicely here for a game and potentially in that winner's side of things on the GSL format. Of course, you've got to win 2 before you lose 2. That is always the wave at this moment in time. I mean, Nexus has got to win 3 maps in a row if they do want to continue on this winner's bracket side of things.
Man, that Search and Destroy was just so indomitable. It really was. And I think, again, splitting the difference. I know that, Kurahana is still a map that teams are learning, so I'm going to give Nexus a little bit of slack here.
Yeah,
ultimately, but something that they're not comfortable with just yet. It's going to take a while for teams to be happy with it, but still, it feels like Wanted almost cracked the code in a way, and that is something that you see when new maps are introduced into any Call of Duty. You and I've seen this a lot, right? At the very beginning of any COD game, generally speaking, Search and Destroys are super fast, right? Because the best way to overwhelm a team on the defense is just to run at a site, right? You're going to, generally speaking, have the numbers. And we saw that there from Wanted. They were just like, yeah, all right, for the vast majority of our rounds here, we know that you're not going to be prepared on the defense. We're just going to run at you and hope that we actually get the bomb down. It worked so often, gave them the advantage in the Search and Destroy. And it means they go 2-0 up in the series. We need to see another reverse sweep. We didn't see one earlier on today, albeit, Vanquish gave us a good look on the control. And it's going to be the same control map as well. So raid control, let's see what we get out of Nexus here.
Or 2 teams, it's about keeping an eye on that spawn trap. Yeah, well, close enough. Good start for Nexus. Still find a couple of kills on this defensive side, but Wanted have just walked through a very open door over towards the B side. A couple of kills fall their way. That's 1 tick in over to what you would call the more difficult side to get a hold of. So they will take this opportunity all day long. They may start to stack it with 3 members. There's another tick coming through. Nexus, if you want to stop this happening, you need to do something pretty quickly about it. HBC can find one. It's gone. Just like that. And without much contention for the side of Nexus, they may well be there to try and pick up the pieces they potentially can do. Forces you back into your spawn, and look what Nexus were already working on. 2 players in the spawn who have been killed by Fahim. So for all that pressure you set up in the spawn, you're putting all your eggs in that basket, and the basket has been thrown out the window.
Keep an eye on Denicio here, though. He could be the playmaker here for Nexus to potentially stop this one for Wanted. That's actually jumped out towards the site now as well. And Denicio going to find a couple of kills. So nicely done from Denicio here to alleviate the pressure. And Denicio still finding value from the middle of that. Finally, Kairu's going to shut them down. Kairu themselves on 4. Kairu on 5. Wipes the squad away. And for all of Denicio's effort, I think it's all been for naught because Kairu has just blown this round wide open. Nexus off the spawn. Nowhere close to touching. And Kairu might have just made the play of this season of the Snapdragon Pro Series thus far.
Phenomenal from Kairu. Picked up the pieces on a couple of them, but the others straight gunny. I'd love to give credit to Wanted for that round, but Nexus, you can't allow them to capture B so simply. They focused themselves on pushing down the outside of the map to set up the spawn trap, and it has bit them right in the butt cheek. That's a tough one. Now all of a sudden you can just head down over towards A, but you lose these gunfights, you're in a little bit of trouble. You can see another player already making the push around the outside of A, but you've got to be careful because Kairu and Co, with such a good round in the previous round, you've already got your operators up and running. Kairu causing all sorts of issues. Now all of a sudden Wanted can spread their wings, they can flex their muscles, they can step forward. Yeah, you got rid of the player who was pushing the spawn. Welcome to the spawn trap and welcome to potentially another round for Wanted.
Yeah, I was going to say Legacy was the player, if anything, the key to unlocking the players out of the spawn trap. But as Leahy falls, I think the options now starting to dwindle. A 5-life advantage already earlier on. At the very least, this is not as oppressive as it could be. Wanted haven't got players deep into the water spawn. Instead, they're just keeping an eye on the doorways. So Nexus looking to get out. Darrix will get shut down by that B side towards the point, though. Fahim and Kairu are keeping an eye on that doorway and every single avenue that Nexus are trying to make their way towards either of these 2 points. They just cannot get there. One last hurrah for Nexus here on this offense. 10 seconds on the clock. It has to be towards B, and here they go.
They went towards it, but you can see Wanted all chilling in the vent. Only ready just to hit this together. Oh, well, I mean, they can't because Legacy's found 2 of them. Just chilling like rats, sitting around the vent. I think they're ready just to make a move to whichever side they wanted, but now Wanted and almost just find a potential collapse here. Oh, the push is going to come through. It's just so simple. Up the stairs. Turn to your right, mate. There's one in the corner. That's going to be the round. Wanted, I mean, it's been dominating from them. Nexus haven't shown up whatsoever. if anything, this has looked a little more comfortable than the previous series. Look, outside of the first map, of course, was relatively close, but Search and Destroy dominant. Wanted now walking away with this one, unless Nexus can answer back with something, but so far they've shown me no evidence that they can do it.
Yeah, this has been a wild ride for Nexus the last couple of rounds, and it feels like Champion really wants to continue that aggression in towards this one as well. Fahim also bringing out the War Machine, a couple of operators for Wanted. They haven't completely cleared house just yet, and as I say that, Fahim's going to make sure that is the case as Feints gets removed from the point almost immediately right off the start of this round. It takes only a few seconds for Nexus to start their campaign on A. Wanted, excuse me, starting the campaign on A and also putting players into the spawn from behind. Nexus will shut that player down, and now we'll be looking at mountain effort on towards A. But second tick already through here. You've got to be careful if you're a Nexus.
I mean, it's the same old story, right? You've seen what happened to them in the previous round. Wanted pushed forward, they got control of the site, which they now have lost, but Nexus are so hyper-focused on the spawn trap, you need to be finding kills to be able to make that work, and you ain't. Right now, you are down by 4. Wanted are putting themselves in a position to capture hold of it. They only need one more tick, and look at this. I mean, Fahim knows exactly what's going on. Everybody from Nexus is trying to set up a spawn trap, but you need to be the team being the, I want to say the aggressor. You need to be the team being the ones making the decisions, controlling the flow of the game to make that work for you. Nexus are rolling the dice just at the wrong time.
Yep, Nexus have already lost A. Options are going to be running out in this round. Kyra's going to bring out that Annihilator that's been so problematic in the past. There's 2 kills already. Got 5 on the last round, Tunt. Watch him do it again.
He might need it.
All the targets. There we go. Another one for Kyru, and he's going to remove one player from the spawn. Hey, would you look at the spawn here? Etsy in from behind with a Sparrow. Yeah, this is where the fun definitely does not begin for Nexus, because Etsy can continue to damage. He will get taken down. 3 kills, though. I mean, that's damaging enough.
You need the rest of the team to be able to hold up their end of the bargain now. Pushing from this side, Kyru will find another on the fence. Just make sure. A couple extra into the body. And now the push can really, truly start to come through. Turtle will deal with Fahim, though, and all of a sudden this is looking like a decent defense coming through from Nexus. 10 lives remaining on their side, 16 for Wanted, but one of the ones have to make the move. Direct can find one, just dips out. Denisio will say, yeah, go on, I'll have you as well. Everything being invested here from Nexus, though. You can see the operators are very readily available, and they're putting them to good work. Legacy in the spawn here as well will cause absolute havoc, but only momentarily. Wanted still have an opportunity with 45 seconds to go. You can see the positioning of Champy. That might be the thing that gets them out. But Nexus now starting to force the issue, forcing that spawn at the right time this now.
I've got to give fair shake to Nexus here, because this is the second time now in this series, but we have felt like the operators have been on point. Great time to use them. Now towards the point, though, Wanted are already knocking at the door. HBC is going to put them to rest. But Turtle will be down for the round. Lives a problem, and time is also an issue for Wanted. It is worth saying, 20 seconds left here. Wanted don't actually have many options. I don't even really think there's enough time for a flank. So this is all coming through the front. HBC going to bring that War Machine out. What value can they find with it? HBC finds one on the other side. Fahim's War Machine is also doing damage. Fahim's going to get a second kill, and all it results in HBC being the last player left alive. Wanted clean 3-0 in the control, and not really a clean 3-0 on the whole, but certainly towards the second half of it, they look dominant.
I mean, just phenomenal from them. And for me, you know, we went into this game expecting a relatively close affair. We didn't get it. So does that answer a question in form of Nexus being way off the pace, or does it answer the question of where or Wanted? Well, we're going to get the opportunity to actually get an answer to that in our next series on the winners bracket side of things in this GSL format group. Really, really good performance from them, though. I think, you know, you've seen a bit of everything. You've seen some really good fundamental play in both the Search and Destroy control and, of course, the Hardpoint. But you also seen those sort of superstar moments. I think especially I want to give a shout out to Kyru. In every single map, he stood out for me for the side of Wanted. He's going to have to stand out maybe just a little bit more, and we really will see where the gaps truly do lie in our next series. But Wanted, that was a really impressive performance, and the kind of performance you want to take into your next series.
Yeah, I think, you know, the most ample comparison we can make here is that Wanted feel like they have pack-a-punched their roster. The new additions to the team have been perfect, and this is a brand new Wanted team from Mont last season. So again, they look competitive. They look like they could be competitive against the top teams here in Europe.
Yeah, I mean, really strong performance. Definitely kind of giving us something to talk about heading into Challenge Finals, as they now are that much closer to getting one of those spots. It's not going to be an easy road, though we still have that third and final match that we will have to watch, and they'll have to go through Animus, who also had a 3-0 to start off their day. So this will be an interesting decider match, I guess, if you will, Ton.
Yeah, and again, just to sort of cement my I don't want to say issue with it, but in the sense of like where does it put us in the grand scheme of things here now? It's Wanted doing that and Animus doing that as well. Of course, a lot of people will still be leaning Animus and saying, "Now, okay, I know they'll probably do this pretty convincingly," but Wanted showed a lot of promise in that series. I just hope they can carry that form forward into the second one of their days. Same thing here for Animus, because we should have a relatively decent series on our hands. But what kind of series? I mean, I would love to be surprised here. And they have offered me some sort of hope, Brody. Some sort of hope.
Also, don't forget, guys, it doesn't mean that Nexus is out yet. They will just drop down. They'll be going up against Vanquish tomorrow to see if they can keep their hopes of making their way through to Challenge Finals alive. And then whoever loses our last match today will be waiting in the wings for them for that last match, or the last series in the lower bracket. So we've gotten a lot accomplished here so far on the day. Some really strong performances out of our two teams that will now have to face off against each other to claim that third spot in Challenge Finals, two of which have already been claimed. If you're just joining us here for the first time, when we did Group A last week, it was Exclusive and 117 who nailed down those first two spots, and they are keeping their eyes on the teams that are playing now here today and tomorrow to see who they will be facing off against. But before we get that third spot figured out, we're going to send it to another short break and let our players get themselves set up and ready to get into it. So don't go anywhere. You're watching the Snapdragon Pro Series.
Snapdragon Pro Series is brought to you by Snapdragon Elite Gaming, Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra, Monster Energy, and DHL.
Looks like the players are ready. Here we go!
All right, everybody, welcome back to the Snapdragon Pro Series. I hope you prepared yourselves over the break because it's time for our third and final match of the day between Animus and Wanted, and they will be fighting for the third spot, the only spot available today in our challenge finals here in EU. It's going to be a good match after both of these teams got through their series in a 3-0 fashion, Brody.
Yes, they did, albeit I think in, I want to say varying degrees of 3-0, because the 3-0 between Wanted and Nexus was relatively closer, right? I mean, we've had a competitive Hacienda Hardpoint. The Nexus were involved in a few search and destroy rounds, whereas what we saw between Animus and Vanquish was a very, 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 very uncompetitive Hacienda Hardpoint and a search and destroy where Vanquish might not have been spawned in. I mean, they probably would have had the same effect. So, yeah. This is going to be a good one. I honestly, I want to give Wanted a lot more credit here than we otherwise would, because I do feel like they have definitely pack-a-punched their roster, and it's going to give them a shot versus this Animus team.
I heard you making some sounds there while Brody was giving his points. Give me your thoughts on this matchup.
I mean, I was going to disagree with them in the sense that I thought it was a lot closer between Wanted and Nexus. I think, honestly, look, map number one was, but after that, it was pretty plain sailing. But honestly, just really impressive from Wanted. I don't really want to hammer down on Nexus too much. I just liked what I seen in maps 2 and 3, especially. You see, once they got control of that hard point as well, they really ran away with it. Look, I mean, it was never going to look as good as Animus did in their previous game, of course, up against Vanquish, but it was still a pretty comfortable showing. So it's a nice series to have, one that is, well, people are shooting back at least, but you still win pretty comfortably. So yeah, it's a nice position for them to be in. And I think as well, going into this game, the pressure isn't on them. Yes, okay, you're in a really, really good spot. They will know if they lose this game, the way they played there, they know they're in a really good spot to qualify anyway. This is a free hit at one of the top teams. The pressure isn't there. For Animus, it's expected that you would go on to win this series, so the pressure is surely on them.
Absolutely. And obviously both of these teams having had the opportunity to watch each other's matches, so they kind of not only got to see how they played up against whoever they were facing off with, but also got an opportunity to scout out their map picks and bans and maybe see if they wanted to then make any choices in this series based off of what they saw last time around. So not a lot of information for them to go off, but at least a little bit that they could potentially work with and see if they can maybe ban out some favorites for the opposition. And we'll get a chance to see if they in fact did just that as those picks do come through. Summit Hardpoint kicking things off here, Brody.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. We're going to see some at Hardpoint. I believe that was a good Omniscient Mac back in Season 4, so I think that should favor Animus, and I'm not surprised that they picked it for this best of 5. To me, probably the most intriguing thing about this best of 5 is the fact that Arsenal is there as a decider between these two teams. We did just see it twice. We saw it both between Animus and Vanquish, and then Nexus and Wanted. And Wanted looked arguably stronger of the two. Now, obviously, different opponents, so it's hard to make a definitive statement there, but Wanted looked increasingly dominant on that Arsenal control, whereas you saw Animus and Vanquish. Animus actually let Vanquish in towards the back half of that game. So I think there is an opportunity here for Wanted to find their way into the series, perhaps at the very least in that map 3.
Yeah, and Firing Range being their pick as well. We know that how Firing Range can kind of go in terms of trying to find those picks to start things off. And, you know, there is a plethora of different tactics you can kind of throw at Fire Range Search and Destroy. So maybe if they've got something up their sleeve on that one, and I'd agree with you on the Arsenal control. They looked very, very good on that map, whereas Animus, again, I don't know how much they took their foot off the gas is one thing potentially, but at the same time, it wasn't clean by any stretch of the imagination. So I think if you look at those two maps for the side of Wanted, there is some potential there. Hackney Yard will be Wanted's pick as well. So if they can steal one of the first 3 maps, you're heading into a hard point, and then you've got an Express to close things out. There are routes to victory here for Wanted, but there are not easy ones. Animus will still be very, very tough to deal with.
I think it'll be fun to see how it plays out either way, and whoever loses is still not out of the competition. Like we keep reminding you guys at home, they will just drop down into that lower bracket and have a bye in the first round while they wait to see who they will be facing off against. So this is literally boiling down to which team clinches up and is able to get the 3rd spot and will compete in our challenge final. So as always, everybody at home, let us know your thoughts. Who you think is going to be getting that spot? Who's winning this match? Is it Animus or is it Wanted? I'm excited to see how it is. Brody and Todd are ready to go, so let's close out day number 3.
Yep, let's do it. Let's see who will make it into challenge finals. And honestly, I gotta say, comparing kind of the positioning of these two teams right now, I actually feel the pressure is probably more on Animus than it is on Wanted here. Because, yeah, look, Animus, they expect to win, but also in my mind, I'm looking at Animus as one of those rosters that's trying to be the best of the best in European COD Mobile. Wanted, I think, are just trying to be more competitive than they were last season when they were with Mont, and it looks like with the new roster they are able to do so. But for Animus, I mean, you don't want to just win this series, you want to make a statement. You want to get into challenge finals easily.
Yeah, of course. I think you want to put yourself in a really good position. The best position that you can be is by winning this game. I think this will be a nice test for them, though, right? I mean, based on what we've seen, unless Nexus really, really sucked and we just don't realize how bad they looked, I think that's one thing or another. But I think realistically, Wanted showed some promise there. I think there's a couple of players on the roster who had their flashy moments here and there. They are still going to have to perform at a very high level to be Animus, of course. But last season, for all that, we did see some teams do well against the lower half teams. We've seen a couple of squads who were very much the best of the rest. Is that the case for Wanted? Are they going to be quite there alongside the big boys here in Europe? I'm not 100% sure. But we're going to get a good opportunity to figure out where everything kind of lies after this one. But I would absolutely agree. I think Animus, the pressure is very much on them. Can they find this one in a comfortable fashion? That's what they will want to do.
Yeah, and the other thing I want to say, mate, is honestly, I do want to see a game 4 in this series because we didn't get to mention it, but it's Hackney Yard. I want to see a Hackney Yard Hardpoint. Why not? It would be well fun to see a Hackney Yard Hardpoint. And it is worth saying as well, I think if Wanted have any chance in this series, I imagine it has to be the Hardpoints, right? I know that was probably the closest map in the last best of 5 between them and Nexus, but still going back to season 4, it was Mont's best game mode by far. And a big part of that is the incumbent players that remain on the roster for this season. So I got to imagine that prowess and Hardpoint is going to continue on towards this season, even if that was the closest map in the last series. So that's probably going to be another win, potentially, for a Wanted. But there's a lot of ifs here in this best of 5. A lot that we don't know and a lot that we're still learning about these brand new teams coming into Season 5. Animus, though, it is undoubtable that they are one of the teams to watch this season. And for that reason, they are hot favorites for the series. Wanted, can they pull off the upset?
It would be some upset. I think we'll really will get a good chance to see if that gap does really exist, if it is existing in a similar sort of way to what we've seen last season. Or can this relatively new looking Wanted roster show us something different. Kairu was really the standout for me in that previous series from Wanted, who are the ones with the points on the board so far. Spawns for P2 and P3 looking good for Animus so far, but we are very much only 30 seconds into this game. Animus waking up into it, finding the kills, and will find their way into their full rate of first point of this game so far.
Yeah, honestly, it is also always worth saying, right, with P1s that it is difficult to get a wealth of times. If I wanted to walk away with the first 20 seconds and not giving a single second away to Animus just yet, this has been a stellar start from them. They're continuing their dominance as well. The kill feed is absolutely theirs. Animus are sending themselves in towards the hard point one by one, and they are getting punished for doing so. I think with 10 seconds left, they'll send a couple of players in for the scrap time, but it is much more worth going for the rotation here. They haven't done that already. You've got Etsy cutting these guys off at the source. One player in from behind here as the spawns do come in for splits for Animus. And yet still, I am very surprised that this rotation has not been solidly in control for Animus as it probably should have been.
Yeah, I mean, they rolled the dice at the last possible moment, and all of a sudden there's a Predator missile on the other side of things for Wanted. They've got all the kills that they could potentially want to get, and they've got the spawns as well for P3. Fantastic start for Wanted, who have come into this one absolutely firing. They were shooting their guns not only merely 10 minutes ago, and they are shooting them in the same kind of form. Look at the kill feed so strongly in the side of Wanted. Etsy's found 10 already. Fahim's not far behind him. Brilliant start from the Wanted side.
I mean, Animus are feeling at an all-time low at the moment, aren't they? 4 points on the board here. Wanted 70-point advantage, and it is growing. And Animus spawning out on the other side of the map. This is about as far away as possible as they want to be. Narcs towards the hill. Kairu going to take them down with the KRM, and that looks like the last 10 seconds to them. They are actually going to invest the equalizers here as well. Perhaps a little bit prematurely from Darix. I don't actually know if he's going to find any value out of that equalizer whatsoever. And that's not where the threat is coming from as well. It's not through the front of the kill. Animus know their best shot at breaking this hard point is by breaking the spawns. And Darix now finally going to get something out of these equalizers. Finally will contribute towards this kill hold. But Animus again, close spawns. They will continue to hit this over and over. Animus now, maybe they go for the front.
But there's time for Wanted. 45 seconds remaining on this point. It is just ticking on up. Maybe a little bit overzealous from Darix, but Kairu was the standout. Will need to be standout here once again, just shouldering with the shotgun, doing really well with it. Etsy will not find a great deal from the Sparrow. Darix is there to answer back with another though, and Wanted still in control here. The lead will be over 100 by the time we head over towards P4 if Animus cannot find a break in here. Spawns towards the back of the worst possible moment, so now with 20 seconds remaining, Wanted can get the flip on. They can get the rotation again. Can they hold down the scrap as a bonus as well? Etsy letting them know. Phenomenal start from Wanted. They've got a 100-point lead.
Just a phenomenal start from Wanted. About as perfect as you could possibly ask for. And it gets even more perfect as well because now Animus are forced to hit the scrap time. They're going to get 5 seconds off that. Wanted will be the first team to touch on new, and they've got operators ready to go. Kairu with the Annihilator, able to take Razmo down before they can get anywhere close to the hard point. Up top, Wanted are also winning their gunfights. This is sensational play from Animus, and the dominance will continue as well. Wanted winning the vast majority of the gunfights. Animus, they're asleep, and they need to wake up right about now. Champy now going to get more kills through the middle of the map as well. Here we go, though. Animus now starting to knock at the door here, but will they be sent away? Shark and Gefilla, the only ones to pick up any kills whatsoever. Animus just cannot get in.
Just struggling to break the choke points, and all of a sudden you're gonna have to start investing a couple of operators when you really didn't want to. But those couple of operators invested are gonna get you a minimum of 22 seconds of time. Wanted. We said, is it potential that they could bring a game to the table here against Animus? Well, we're getting that question answered almost imminently. Wanted finding themselves over 100 points in the lead, but a caveat to that, we did think if it is going to be any particular game mode that they were able to take, it could be the hard points. But if they can find the first one, they're at least going to get a couple of map picks that go their way over the next 3 maps and have potential to do something in this series. Animus, though, we know what kind of team they are. They have it in their locker to bring this one back, but it is a long way back.
Yeah, again, comebacks like these aren't untenable, but they are certainly difficult to pull off. 100-point deficit now between Animus and Wanted. And Wanted now looking to put the hurt down and continue this dominance in this game. Darix going to bring out the equalizers once again. Going to find one. It was also being found by the rest of the squad as well. Derek's going to be stunned up here, unable to find any value, but he's still got 50% left of these equalizers ready to go. Again, these stuns really going to neutralize him in the play. It's now going to offer Animus away and towards the hard point, and the subs will slay out. So Animus are able to break in for the last 25 seconds here. Wanted also spawning out towards the other side of the map. So an opportunity here potentially for Animus to not just get this time, but also to move over towards New, but they have to win the vast majority of these gunfights. And as I say that, that's exactly what they do. Wanted with 10 seconds left here. Use your leader's advantage to focus on the rotation.
And I think at the same time, though, we're talking about everything that Animus are starting to do a little bit more right, a little bit correctly. They're still like 100 points behind. That's the buffer that Wanted have now given themselves, but they are on the lesser side of things as we head into 2 and 3. Kyra trying to do something up top, doesn't quite finish his dinner. Oh, you've got to finish that off. Shark will absolutely punish you, but Fahim is there for the trade, and all of a sudden P2 looking very, very nice for the side of Wanted. And now there's going to be a potential split spawn as well. Did you see in the bottom left corner? Shark's going to call that in onto Kairu. But look at Etsy. Starting to put himself in a position where he can potentially farm from behind. The shots in, not quite strong enough from Fahim. Etsy is there to pick up the pieces, though. It's all about the rotation that's coming in 35. This is better from Animus, but Wanted are still in control as Kairu finds another 2.
I was going to say, there is still a theoretical path back into this game. You've got to get the rest of this time if you're Animus, and you've got to hold on to all the rotations and New, but your win conditions are slim. Wanted, looking for the last 20 seconds. Says is currently just contesting that time. Gafilla over the top now will look towards the hard point to actually remove Wanted from it. And I think that's exactly what they're going to do. But again, keep an eye on this rotation, because right now it is going to be Animus in control. Wanted are going to try to do what Animus could not on the last rotation, which is make their way in from behind to unearth Animus from the spawn control. Etsy's trying to do exactly that. Big 1v1 towards the backline here. Says being pressured. Kairu from the middle of the map also starting to add to that pressure as well. Only going to find one with the Annihilator. Darek's towards the backline is a constant nuisance, and Darek's finding 2. Has that opened the door for Wanted?
Can they walk through it? Wanted to find a couple of kills, but the spawns are starting to come through. They haven't been able to find that moment. Rasmo and Shark finding a couple. Nades in through the top, just any which way you can get into this point, because there's 40 seconds up off of here. If Animus can keep a hold of every single one of them, they will be within touching distance. Shark can find a couple. This is a good hold so far from Animus, and one that they absolutely need to get themselves back into this game.
Yeah, and the key to this one for me is if I'm Wanted here, we're hitting the last 30 seconds of this hill. Don't go too aggressive with this. Don't overinvest. You have a rotation and the leader's advantage once more, but they're going to go for it. Narx is going to find all 3 players, and now that is the warning sign to me to get the hell out of dodge and rotate away. One player getting rogue spawns here might well be a spoiler in the plan. Animus know how important this rotation is, and the vast majority of the gunfights are going their way. Split spawns still coming through here for Wanted, and once again, it is Derek's bringing the equalizers out a little bit too early. So he's going to have to wait a bit to find some value. But still, Animus are approaching this hard point. Big kills around the backline as well from Gafilla and Rasmo. Animus could well break this.
He was able to find 1 kill, but there's the kills that come through from Animus. We said if anybody's going to be able to do it, it might be these guys, and Says is starting to warm up as well. Shots in from his right-hand side, continues to survive. It feels like Wanted came into this one swinging with a counterpunch. It's just been that little more effective. 40 seconds to go on this point. They can't quite catch up to what Wanted have at the moment, but they will be within spitting distance of the Wanted side if Animus can hold this down. Looking so good so far. Fahim can find one back, but he gets taken down almost immediately. Look at the operators that are available here for Animus as well. It feels like it's their hill to hold on to. Wanted, they are reeling away from this game and have to be so careful, but they found a break-in.
Oh boy.
Win.
Oh no, Says is going to win a gunfight towards the hard point. This is not over just yet. Shark with the back spawn will manage to help the team get the last 10 seconds of time. And what was 110, 120 point deficit between these two teams has been reduced to just 15 to 20. Animus are knocking at the door now. They've got so much in their favor. Predator missile coming down from Shark here on the 3rd and final rotation. It's going to take Chompy out of the play. And now you know as well where some of these players are located. Etsy and Fahim, though, starting strong, as is Kairu towards P1. That's a good flurry of kills from Wanted. Can they remove Shark? Yes, they can. And for a moment here, Wanted have some peace and quiet as they approach the 200-point mark.
A little bit of a breather. A little bit of breathing room. But we talk about these close moments in the game. You got to hit those shots if you get Thilla. Sharks is there to maybe potentially pick up the pieces. It was Narx. Sorry, as Kairu now is going to try and do something here with the KRM. He's been so effective with it as Etsy will find 2. Wanted are chipping away at that 250-point mark that they've got to hit. 20 seconds to go here on P1. Wanted in prime position to win this game. but never, ever count out Animus. The gap was about 100. It's now down to around 40.
Animus still hanging on here, looking for the last 5 seconds of scrap time. Keep an eye on that rotation, though. Wanted should be the first team to touch. Up top control being provided by Fahim, and towards the bottom, Champy is there, ready to go. Fahim's going to find a couple of kills up top. That is free for him. Crucial gunfights to keep Animus away from this time. Wanted just need 29 points, and they take map number 1 away from Animus. Operator now coming out. A couple of operators coming out from Wanted to keep Animus away from it. Can Narks do anything about this one? No, he cannot. Wanted win the first few, but now Animus with the spawn flip are able to get through. Shark for a couple of kills, make it 3. Animus now contesting.
40 seconds to go on this hill. Wanted can absolutely win it here. A couple of kills going in their favor. May well just solidify that. Shark's the only one who can answer, and everybody's dead. Split spawns coming through. Is that going to work out in Animus's favor? But they are now 14 seconds away from the L and going behind immediately in this series. You need to find everything and more if you're Animus. Kills starting to fly on through, and that might just help with the spawns in over towards P3 is what Wanted needed, and they're going to get them. They need to hold on these next couple of gunfights because Wanted are going to give up that scrap time. They're losing the gunfights over towards the new hill. This is disastrous potentially for Wanted. Animus may well find a way through, and they have done. Yeah, P3 rotations starting to come in. Wanted very, very close.
Etsy was the only thing holding those guys back towards the back line now. Gafilla.
Do something.
Can he do anything with the Annihilator here, keeping these guys at bay? They can't afford to make the jump up happen, so Gafilla's going to get shut down by Darix, but there is an immediate trade now. Razmo finding another one too. Wanted trying to get through the front door, but Shark will double up, and Wanted cannot get through. They have to start to strategize right now. You've got a little bit of time. You need to make a decision as a team.
You need one decent break here if you Wanted. You need to coordinate this well. You are starting to set it up, but Says and Shark are things maybe starting to just get a little bit panicky because Animus have been behind for the majority of this series. But Champy, he's found just so many kills coming through. The Gravity Vortex gun, Wanted have found a way through. They've been lacking all throughout the second half of this game, but it's one good break, one good game coming through from Wanted. They find the win in map number 1.
Ooh, sigh of relief there if you're a Wanted fan, right? Because that was almost a Chuckle Brothers special. They were 100 points to the good for the first half. And the second half, I mean, Animus almost made that happen, and some phenomenal decision-making coming up from Animus in the second half was basically the entire reason why they were significantly better on rotations, they were significantly better at operate utilization, and let's be frank about it, they were actually outslaying Wanted in the second half. But right there towards the end of the game, the only reason why Wanted are able to finish that game is the Gravity Vortex gun coming out from Champion. I think he got like 5 kills. I think he basically cleared house. Animus still had the back spawns, but Wanted being in those final moments is all they required. But I tell you what, mate, coming off the end of that game, I think Wanted will be saying, yeah, that should not have been that close.
Yeah, look, they just came out swinging, right? The start of the game was fantastic from them. They put themselves in that position. And it almost is in that moment where you have such a good start on the Hardpoint that if you get it to that stage, you can say to yourself, right, okay, well, we've given ourselves this buffer. We put ourselves in that position to be able to do this. Phenomenal performance coming through from Wanted. It may well just be a 10, 15, 20 point game, whatever it was in the end, but the outslayer was absolutely there. It's looking at around 30 in the end. And that is not something I thought would happen up against Animus. I absolutely believed Animus were going to come into this. Yes, okay, a close game, but a comfortable one at least. Hardpoint goes the way of Wanted. We very much have a series on our hands. Yeah, Brody.
Man, and you know what? I think we kind of set that up in a way, maybe not in the way that we expected it to, by certainly saying that, look, Wanted back in Season 4 when they were pretty good at Hardpoint. It was very easily their best game mode. They looked solid. And Animus back when they were Omniscient, again, not the same rosters, but still the same core was there. Not so great at Hardpoint. Hardpoint was by far and away their weakest game mode, and it showed time and time again. So I'm not at all surprised to see it being the game mode in which Wanted were able to find their way into the series. But still, they have managed to get it done. Next up is going to be Fire and Range, Search and Destroy. And again, back when these guys were Omniscient, this was a bit of a dicey one for Animus. They had some solid moments on it, but on the whole, it was not one of their best Search and Destroy maps. So I don't know if that'll still show through with the current roster.
Rasmus going to open things up though with a kill, and the champion Kyrie will immediately fall as well. I was about to try and set this up a little bit more, but Animus will hold their first defensive round by the looks of things. Darix can find one on the flank. He's putting himself into some good positions, isn't able to maybe capitalize as the way he would have wanted, Shark will find his third of the round. I mean, look at how good he was in the previous series in the Search and Destroy. Comes in there with a fantastic start to kick things off.
Incredible start from Animus. Incredible start from Shark. Great response out of the aggression from Wanted. Now let's see if they change up tact a little bit. It seems they're going to by hitting B aggressive this time around. So how will Gafilla and Narx deal with this? Gafilla just holding steady for the moment. Potential flank coming through from Shark, and that is a great read from Darix. Potentially the second one as well. Fahim's going to take Gafilla out. Somehow, someway, Saze is still alive in this play, but Wanted have done what they desired. They've got themselves on towards B site. Still one player to contest with, though, sat inside.
Just about finding the pick here. For Nox, you are the one in enemy territory. Just has to stay alive here. If he can find a pick and stay alive, puts you in a phenomenal position. But he is well and truly surrounded. Anything here for Nox will be a bonus. He can find one, gets taken down. So there's the information gained. Oh no, something else gained as well from Rasmo. He'll take down Etsy towards the backside, and all of a sudden it's a 2 versus 2.
I'm kind of concerned here about why separating out there towards the end is a bit of a risky play, especially as if you're Darix in that situation. You've got the bomb, so you've made things infinitely more difficult now for Kairu, because you've only got 40 seconds on the clock. You've got to make a bomb retrieval mission and sprint back towards the site and make sure that nobody from Animus has got there. There's a lot to do here if you're Kairu.
Just the impossible kind of task from Kairu, but we've seen some big plays from him over the majority of, well, tonight's proceedings, and he's going to need to find another one here. Does now have the bomb. Has he found a route over with a little bit of timing? Looks that way. Time, though, not on his side. Timing was, but now needs to get up and get out. Can do. But Animus have the numbers. They may well just charge him down.
Kairu's got the weapon for the situation. They're sticking this bomb, and yeah, perfect read coming through from Saze as well. Great coverage. And honestly, I don't know if I'm happy with the way that round went. If I wanted, you know, not only are you not able to get onto the site despite having the numbers, but the 2 versus 2, I think, just falls apart in probably one of the most horrible ways. Animus will be smiling from ear to ear.
Yeah, it's a bit of an awkward one for Wanted, but Animus will absolutely accept the 2-0 lead here. Wanted a lot of utility towards that A bomb. You wouldn't have wanted to be behind it, and thankfully for everybody on Animus, you were not. Just going to be tin control. Says waiting for anybody to be so unfortunate to fall into his gunfire. He sees Fahim, or he sees maybe just one of his cheeks. Fahim will get the bomb down, but will get taken down immediately. Gathilla's there to maybe open things up. Darix can find one. Surely he doesn't find anything else. He's going to eventually get taken down, you would think. Aru fell, as did Champy. Now it's going to be down to Darix left in the 1 versus 4.
Going to find the first. Gotta imagine surely Animus will just flood in or get straight for the defuse, and yeah, that's exactly what happens there. Nicely done from Animus, just overwhelming. And again, it's that same aggression that we saw earlier on in their prior Search and Destroy versus Vanquish, right? That same kind of venom. Even against a roster that is inarguably more competent, they still have it. Not slowing down by any means. That's worked against them at times, but still 3-0 start here. I can't imagine it's a strategy that they are comfortable with. Early pre-fire though, Rasmo already starting to feel the heat here, and an immediate response from out of the map. Darix falls to Narc. So at every single avenue, things falling apart from Wanted, and they've got to be careful here because a flanking play from Shark is being put together, but team shots will remove them from the play. It's a good response from Wanted, but still not numbers there.
Oh, that nade from Saze as well is just so well timed. Straight back onto it, give it the fake and see how it happens. But look, there's going to be a massive gunfight going on between Kairu and Gathilla. Kairu is going to come away with the better of that one. Rasmo now just starting to close this net. Etsy left all on his own, and there's the second. Kairu will fall. Animus, so dominant so far. 4-0 on the Search and Destroy. 4 defensive rounds in a row. Wanted looking to answer back as quickly as they possibly can here. It's not necessarily the end of the world yet, but you wouldn't want it to get any worse.
I gotta say, there is a 50-50 choice in how aggressive Animus are being so far. Wanted to have read it pretty much every single time, but they just can't actually beat out Animus on head-to-head gunfights right now. Same kind of story once again. Wanted, gonna get the bomb down over by A. They've already drawn the first blood. Rasmo from American's going to remove Kairu from the situation. Bomb's going to go down whether Animus wants it to or not. Wanted should be expecting aggression. Rasmo's going to get cut short for it. Shark, they know how aggressive he can be, but he's already found Fahim. How much more can he find?
3v3 scenario. Oh, but this flank coming through, that's going to be a difference maker. Darix can eventually hit the shots, will get traded out, but Shark had to make a move, and Champy is there just to eat him up, and all of a sudden, it's a 1 versus 1. Etsy was looking there for the trade, potentially. Githilla now will go for the Chal. Champy behind the site. Githilla will surely trust himself to make this gunfight. Champy just not offering the opportunity. 12 seconds to go. Champy goes to the recheck. Githilla has to make the aggressive play. Not going to happen. Eventually, Wanted get themselves on the board here in the search and destroy.
It feels like the first time in the search and destroy where that aggression hasn't worked out for Animus. They get cut short in the gunfights. Wanted the appropriate response that we've wanted to see and a successful response at that. So they're on the board now. Last offensive effort here coming out from Wanted, and they're going back to a classic strategy that they pulled out back in round number 2. That time, it was Wanted getting onto the site, but not getting the bomb down. And it all fell apart from there. They have to be more certain this time around, and that first blood's not going to help proceedings. Narcs towards the backlines, finding more value. Says and Shark as well. Everybody is down for the count. Narcs going to finish 3 kills in that round, and Wanted even less successful at their B push that time around.
That was phenomenal from Nox. Dipping and diving, just making it so difficult. But now it's the turn of Animus on the attacking side. Looking to tie this series up very quickly. Their attacks will be fast and fluid. The nades over towards Kyrie, who has got to be in a whole world of trouble. But did they find him? Did they find any picks? He's taking his time, but maybe took his time a little bit too much. Champy, Kyrie, Darix all dead to rights very quickly. And B is now wide open. It's all about, I mean, that round is over before it even bloody started. Animus 6-1 to the good.
And I know they lost the hardpoint some, but it does feel like the momentum has rolled definitely in Animus's favor. The way in which they were playing towards the back half of that hardpoint, they'll be very comfortable now in this series, and you can feel that in the search and destroy. Just winning almost every single gunfight. Wanted 1 round on the board, and I don't know if they're going to be able to do much to stop the offense over towards A. It has to be the snipe for American. I think that smoke is obscuring the vision of Etsy, though. Darix towards the site. I mean, that's a good response from Darix, to be fair, to take your filler out of the play. It's going to require Animus to send more players straight back towards the site. Trades in favor of Animus. Nonetheless, Stark able to find 1. Good shots from Shark. Kairu with the response, though. Now down to a 2 versus 2. Narc's going to take Etsy out of the play, and now Kairu has to pull off a 1 versus 2 to keep this S&D alive.
He has been the X factor so far for Wanted. He needs to be that and more here now if he wants to keep them in the search and destroy. This is the map pick of Wanted, but it is really showing that sometimes Animus are just different gravy when it comes down to the search. It's 7-1 in the end. For all, it was a close map number 1. In the grand scheme of things, map number 2, a very different story. It will be one apiece as we head into the control. Really good performance from Animus there. I mean, just kind of showing their quality across the board. I don't really think that Wanted had anything to write home about whatsoever in that one. They kind of just got blown away. And I think at the same time, though, they have to just take that for what it is. The search and destroy was just not their game from the get-go. Heading into a control, forget about it. Look what we did in map number 1 to them. We outslayed them, we outplayed them. Let's try and do that again in map number 3.
I mean, that is literally it, right? Again, it's that momentum that we were talking about previously, and it's something that we saw again. I kind of mentioned it already in the middle of that search and destroy that we did see earlier on between Animus and Vanquish, right? Where Animus are feeding themselves and they start to get aggressive. There's not really much that you can do about it, and I think that was most certainly the case there, where this is just one of those simple situations, right? Where Team A is outslaying Team B, and there's no response, there's no strategy around that, right? When a team is just running at you and they're winning those fights 95% of the time, there is no way to strategize, there is no way to outplay, you just have to get good. And Wanted, unfortunately, no chance in those situations, not where Animus are feeling that. So if Wanted have had a stellar start to this series, which, let's be fair, they did, it feels like Animus have fired back in much the same way. Now 1-1 in this series time, we move into an Arsenal control. Something we've seen from both of these teams, and I mentioned it earlier on, it did feel like at least Wanted were more convincing in their efforts in their Arsenal control.
Yeah, I think it's a different story based on what we've seen, though, in the first 2 maps to go in there and be able to take it up against Animus, but it is definitely a question mark that we will have for both these 2 teams. Who's going to be the one who can come out on top? Wanted now getting things rolling here. Which way is this game going to go? It's going to be difficult for them. But if they can get a good start to this attack, that's going to be absolutely crucial. It's over towards this B side almost immediately, over towards the A side almost immediately. Says will be the first one to open things up. You just have to not get wiped. You can see Wonder playing this one maybe a little bit more passive after the opening salvo doesn't go their way. Fahim will find 2 to answer back, so still something to work on over towards A.
Still plays through as well. As I say that, cast a curse in a way. Darix just gets immediately removed from the situation on site as well. Champy's going to lose their engagement, so Animus able to relatively comfortably clean house here. Etsy, the only one who's managed to get in towards the A zone. I think Wanted might have changed tack somewhat and might be content with a push over towards B. They've already stun checked one player, so they're going to be checking around the corner, and yes, Shark very swiftly dealt with. Next one, though, it's going to be Razmo. I don't know if we have stay glitched in COD Mobile, but I feel like if we do, Razmo's doing it right now with a sniper rifle on beat, trying to play their life, trying to waste some time for the rest of the team can make their way over, and it is a perfect collapse on towards the point as well. Says finds that first blood. Razmo feels comfortable enough to get on towards the point, and there are kills for Animus, but Wanted are fighting back.
And these are kills over towards the B side, so that's going to open things up. Oh, Says is holding this down, though. Champy will get cut down, and all of a sudden they know to just focus their efforts over towards the B side. Inevitably, everybody's going to be here. Shark can find one, knows another is lingering in the smoke. Etsy's going to try and answer back, cannot. Shark finds 2, the third as well is disgusting. Darix is there to shut it down, and Champy will find a certain inroad over towards A2, but it feels like there are small steps to be made for Wanted at every single point, but Animus shut the door at the final moment. 3 seconds to go to get a touch. It's everybody in over towards A. They just about got there. They can't get taken off it, though.
Now, winning the gunfights. Fahim going to find a couple of kills here. Got to be careful about those flanking players. They recognize one. Are they going to recognize the second is the question for me. Surely you don't anticipate a second player. If Nox isn't quick with this one, he's going to get covered behind, but nice read on towards Etsy. Not quite, again, expecting the second. So cleared the backline. Now the front is the biggest problem. War Machine comes through for Says. 1 kill for Says. Any more to be found, perhaps? The second tick, or third tick's about to be through. Finally, Say's going to get shut down here. Gafilla able to find his way towards point for a couple of kills. Narc should be able to close that next gunfight out. And ultimately, Animus will overwhelm. Wanted able to get a couple of ticks on towards A, but it is albeit a very, very last-minute push on that one.
Really good job from Animus. Just staggered them away. Always had somebody kind of pushing up. And I think that was the frustrating thing for me from what I've seen from Nexus. It always felt as if they were, trying to find that a little bit extra in terms of getting that spawn trap, but Animus just held tight in the middle of the map and then pushed on from there. Pushing in over towards the next one, though, and that's an Annihilator invested for absolutely nothing from Animus. And now is an opportunity for Wanted to push forward and find that spawn trap themselves. Fahim will find Shark off the rip, and Animus on the back foot almost immediately.
This has been a solid start from Wanted, only losing 1 gunfight. Kairu now with the Annihilator as well, so they want to continue going with this one. There's 1, there's 2 from Kairu. The Annihilator, again, one of the most potent operators we have here in COD Mobile, and in the right hands, it could even be more so. Kairu proving that. More kills to be found. Wanted only losing 3 lives at the start of this control. The Annihilator will at the very least go away. Razmo looking for a hot snipe, and he's not going to get it. Only 1 player gets past, and that player is swiftly executed. This is about as perfect of a start as you could possibly ask for. There's 25 seconds or so left on the clock here. Animus haven't really been left with many options, and those options continue to dwindle. This is perfect from Wanted.
You could not have painted more of a perfect picture if you really desired, if you were Wanted. Try not use Wanted so much in these sentences is maybe a little bit more difficult.
Frustrating, isn't it?
Not as quite as difficult as Animus have found this round. Shark will find a way out, though, and maybe just takes 1 moment. Push is going to start coming on through. There's 1 second remaining. You just have to stay alive inside of the point. Fahim, can he do the job? Not quite. Animus find a way through, but Etsy trying to slow that down. Not going to happen. Oh, no, they jumped off momentarily. No, they've jumped off entirely. They've jumped off entirely. That's a misstep from the side of Animus, and Wanted will get around back. It was already tough, right? They were already in a bad situation, but still.
Just something you didn't really want to do. I think a bit of a misstep there. There was Narcs that was on the A zone and decided to jump off at the final moments to... I think the idea was to try and zone them away from the point, but there weren't anybody to actually pick it up. So now towards the middle of the point we go. Animus once again here on the defense. Utility coming out from Wanted off the start. It's Fahim with the War Machine. What value can they find? I think he only finds 1 kill in this round, despite how potent he has been so far in this control. Wanted haven't kept an eye on Narks, though. In the middle of the map, Narks is able to surprise, sitting in a position that Wanted are never going to expect. He clears the point, and now it's Wanted going in their spawn. Only one player can really do anything about this, and it's Darix, who is also trying to set up a spawn trap of their own on the other side.
It always seems as if it's Rasmo, the one in the spawn, because he's got the claw, and this thing, off the rip, can be so dangerous. Etsy will shut it down. But as you mentioned, it's kind of going on the other side of things. Darix is going to get taken down from the other side. Kairu will find another, though, so that will open up the door. But look, it already says he's trying to put on that pressure again, but you need to be able to find the kills. But Darix is far between them. It's 7 in a row. It's 8 and 9 about to follow. He only falls because he ends up running out of bullets. Hey, look, we can give him some credit. Absolutely phenomenal players coming out from Darix, but talk about fish in a barrel. Says and Co, though, can they find a way back into this one? Is all that hard work done for absolutely nothing? Champion will find something, but the gravity vortex will automatically zone off that side of the map. Wanted will find a way out. God, that's so dumb.
That's one way to say it, yeah. Oh boy, it gives Wanted a lifeline, that's for sure. Almost capturing B now. Etsy still needs to do some serious damage. Almost finds that first kill as well. The 2 kills are bad enough. If he would have got the third, I would have been disgusted. You probably would have heard some gagging. But Wanted, 30 seconds on the board here. Going to change tact somewhat. It's going to go very slowly here. And I'm actually unsure if Animus are going to push the issue. I think they're going for 3 players on the flank. So how long they're taking to do this, I think they're actually just installing themselves across the map as opposed to actually trying to hold on towards A.
Yeah, I think maybe they find a couple of kills. They potentially flirt with the idea, but I think it's about the setup and closing themselves in certain areas where a B push is just a little bit more difficult. Actually, if anything, it is going to really be down to Champy if he can find something here. Finds one, but now the spawn pressure is starting to come through, and there's 2 of them who are working on it. So all of a sudden, Wanted have to turn around 8v7. And I think Nox knows that, if he can find a couple, then all of a sudden you've got no lives remaining. But look at Darix once again in the perfect position to do something. But the problem is, if you want to find something from that, then you need your teammates to find kills. It's 7 versus 5. Darix needs to get the hell out of dodge and help his team actually get onto the point. I mean, they knew he was behind, right? How on earth has he got that kill?
I mean, now they're scrambling. You can see, right? I mean, players Says and Gafilic here are going to have to run back to deal with him, and they do, to be fair. Fahim not able to capitalize on the situation, so that might be all she wrote, unless Kairu can do something crazy here with the Annihilator. Brings it down to Animus' last set of lives. No more respawns. Etsy also bringing the Sparrow out. So this is a lot of investment for a 3 versus 5. More kills to be found from Etsy. He has to go towards the Odin, does Kairu. 1 versus 3, and he would really hope that he had the Annihilator in this play. Do they time it correctly? Kairu gets double chowed by Rasmo and Gafilla in the closing moments of the round, and that is a huge moment at the end of that control. Hi guys, how we doing? Incredible control. That wasn't over, right?
Yeah, no, that's why I wasn't on the screen. I was like, have I not been paying attention? It's been known to happen. The concentration's lost at certain stages. I'm getting on a little bit, Brody. I don't know if you've mentioned that multiple times during every single broadcast we're on together. But here we are. Animus now in the driving seat. 2-1 to the good. Can they find something here on the attack as well? It's already a really good start over towards this B side. Shark is just waiting for an opportunity. He finds the kill at the Darix. The 3 members over towards this B side for Animus. That tick is coming through very, very quickly. 1 already on the board.
That B is fast from Animus. They've also got the Sparrow out from Narks. Animus stacking this point. I don't think Wanted are going to be able to stop this one. Etsy falling, I think, is probably the sound of the bell. It is done over towards B. Now A is all they need to close out this control and take this game in the series. Fahim and Kairu are going to start for a couple of kills, though. Champy going to follow up with another one as well. So Champy getting more value here. Wanted doing a good job at reacting to this perfectly, but Nox and Rasmo finding a couple of kills. Gafilla for number 3 here. Animus are starting to touch over by A, and Wanted have no choice but to send units over by there, but keep an eye on the spawns as well, because Animus, they've got players to deal with. There is 1 kill coming through. Rasmo towards the other side is finding those kills. Ton, this is looking scary for Wanted.
It's looking very scary now. To be honest, Champy did a really good job of just staying alive on the spawn trap for a little bit longer than he really should have. Etsy now going to try and come through the window to try and find something. Can find one. Nox will snap eventually, but through the front door, through the double doors. It doesn't matter which way you go, and Kairu will be able to find one, but Stace is able to answer back himself. Champy can find a way through. But Wanted, I mean, I was about to say have their backs against the wall. Darix finds Shark, who'd popped the equalizer. Gravity Vortex gun out, tried to zone them. This is now a dangerous prospect for Animus because Wanted are in a really good position to defend this. Animus absolutely have time to try and break it down.
Yeah, 90 seconds is an age in Call of Duty terms. It's a lot of time to do what you need to do. And I think that's why Animus are going to try a couple of different strategies here. You can see Narx position himself for potential long-range gunfights, albeit Narx is probably not the player you want in that situation, being an SMG and all. He's going to go for a flank now. Darix, though, being a much more present danger here for Animus, is going to be keeping these guys at bay. Once again, it feels like the amount of times we see Darix here utilizing these equalizers early, but he has been spotted out. Gafilla going to take them down with the Annihilator, and now here we go. Animus, can they get through? No, not when Champy and Cairo are keeping an eye on it. Says is going to fall to a two-piece, and on the other side, Razmo is also dealt with. Wanted have all of their points of entries covered. They are good.
45 seconds to go. Can Animus formulate a plan? Shock, is he going to expect anybody inside here? At this moment in time, it doesn't matter if he does, Fahim guns him. Nox has to back on down. Feels like a bit of a one-dimensional push. That is just not working. Very hard to find your way through that very close quarters push, and it's just not going to work. Animus maybe have one more opportunity, one slender opportunity, and Wanted are grasping at more parts of the map now as they start to move forward. 6v9 as Gathilla can find Fahim. The first line of defense has been taken down. Darek starting to put the aggression in. He'll start to hit a flank here potentially, but no. Just dropping back in. Etsy will say thank you very much. Lines them up. It's a 9v3. And Wanted are going to force round number 5.
Yep. The 9v3 isn't really the problem. It's the time on the board. And Razmo just a meter away from being able to touch the point. Will not be able to. So around 5 here between Animus and Wanted. Again, for what was a indomitable search and destroy from Animus, this has been significantly more close. Wanted have been neck and neck alongside Animus, and going into a round number 5, look at the amount of utility that we see on side for Wanted. 3 operators, 1 hunter-killer drone in the back pocket. Says is going to bring out the 1 operator that Animus have ready to go. What will they find with it? A couple of kills coming out from Says has not been dealt with just yet. How much more damage can Says do? On the other side, Fahim now going to bring out their operator too, and that war machine will be all for naught. Says will go down to nothing as well. Animus still hanging about here. There was a brilliant war machine to come out from the start. It was necessary.
It absolutely had to be that. And for Wanted, you defended this point so valiantly last time around, but you've all been cut to ribbons. Razmo can find 3. A will now surely go over towards Animus. I'd imagine Wanted will have another peek at this, but it is so tough in this scenario to be able to find something back. Champy, though, with that, might just offer them that opportunity. Do you dangle a carrot? Do you consider it? Gathilla now trying to work on something over towards the B side as A just continuing to tick down. A minute remaining, and oh my goodness me, Wanted are being thrown to the sword right now. Fahim can find 2 with a hunter-killer drone, which is a bonus you will absolutely take, but A is gone, and Animus firmly have B in their sights.
And Nox wants to use the Sparrow as well. That is a huge couple of kills now. Wanted gonna have to brute force their way through. Nox now back to the Fennec. He goes. Knows that he needs to be dealt with inside the cut. Help is on the way though, and Nox can't win that opening gunfight. A big shutdown coming up from Fahim, but the first tick is already through here from Animus. Cairo now gonna bring out the Annihilator on the other side. Nox with a Predator missile though. Will remove at least 1 player towards the point, but Cairo is able to get through and take Says down. So Wanted, they give 1 tick away over by B, but there's 1 naughty little flanking player coming through. It's Razmo. He wants to get that spawn trap going.
To get a spawn trap going, you need to be able to find kills. Fahim has been taken down. Fahim has found a huge 2 in the middle of the map. Gathilla and Nox fall. And all of a sudden, Wanted can start to claw back some of that map control they absolutely want. Fahim has been massive for Wanted so far. He is eventually going to fall. Darix will be there to answer the call. But now all of a sudden, Wanted are going to find out that Razmo is in your spawn. And he is just going to continue to farm Fahim if he possibly can. The rest of the team stepping up to the mark, though. Cairo can find 2. Fahim will continue to be farmed. And now Champy's being taken down. And welcome to the party back in your spawn, because Razmo's going to start firing this one away. He's going to have another opportunity to find a couple of kills here. Anything would be beautiful. Can find only 1, but Annihilator out towards this backside. It's an 8v5 in favor of Animus, and they've got the spawn kill underway.
Gafilla gonna get shut down though.
That's huge.
Wanted out. Darix also has the equalizers, so he wants to set up the spawn trap of their own. If Darix can find some value here, it's huge. But this is such a 5-brain play from Animus. They don't push Darix. They know that he's there. They know that's where they expect Animus to push. Instead, they're utilizing the time that they've got to make this flank in from behind. And if this works, I will personally shake the hand of every single player on Animus. Darix in the middle of the map's now been spotted out as well. It's a big kill to make if you are Gafilla because you're preventing Darix and getting back towards the point, but the read is good around the back line. Shark now with the equalizers. What can he do?
6v3. Wanted have got to hold it down. Time is on their side, but the shots coming in from Caesar solid. Kairi, what can you do? He can only find one, and it's all about Fahim. He held down the middle of the map all on his own. He has the War Machine out. He's found 3, but gets taken down. Eventually, 3 members of Animus will survive, and it's 3 rounds on the board for them as well. They will take a lead in this series now. Such a back and forth control. You never knew who was really taking it away till the final moments. But in the end, what the difference maker is the one player on the spawn trap who gets the job done. Rasmus finds it 4 or 5 before falling, and that is the difference. Really, really good final round. And that's a heads-up play that you've got to make. You need to be able to sit there, be patient, trust your teammates to be able to find kills. As long as they do, you can add to it.
Yeah, I mean, you said it, mate. That is a phenomenally back and forth control. And I think we didn't really get a chance to mention it, but a big reason why Wanted was as competitive as they were, especially for the first 3 to 4 rounds, was down for Fahim, who not only was finding value with the War Machine, but when he even wasn't in the War Machine, he was doing a stellar job at keeping Animus away. I mean, I think by the end of round number 2, I want to say he was on like something like 19 kills or something ridiculous like that, while the rest of the squad were somewhat lagging behind. Yeah, you saw their 17 kills as he enters round number 3. Big reason why Wanted were as competitive as they were towards the end of round number 2. But he slowed down somewhat, allowed Animus back in that round number 3, and all of it culminated in the end in that round number 5, where you said it, mate, the spawn traps were everything. And I do want to give Animus a special shout out because very often in COD Mobile, I can be quite harsh when looking at teams and some of the silly plays that they make. That play towards the end of recognizing, hey, look, the thing that Wanted are going to expect us to do is to just push straight through. They're probably going to have 1 or 2 players of the players they have left, keeping an eye on that and getting ready to spawn trap us. So what we're going to do is we're just going to use some of the time we've got to go all the way in behind. A perfect play from Animus, and it is those kind of plays that do split the best from the rest. It is worth saying those are the kind of plays that would work against the higher tiered teams here in the Snapdragon Pro Series.
Yeah, I still want to give some credit over towards the side of Wanted. Fahim had a huge game there. I think it got positive 15 in the end. Talking about K to death ratio, and sometimes it doesn't really make too much of a difference, but when you find a positive 15 in a life-based game mode, that absolutely does help the squad. I mean, there was plays being made across the map, but well, speaking of it, let's find out how Hackney Yard's going to play out between these two teams. My first time in quite some time on Hackney Yard here, Brody. Let's see how this one goes down.
I was going to make a lewd joke there, but I'm going to refrain myself. Yeah, Hackney Yard Hardpoint. It's time. It's time to see how these teams play this one. And again, it is worth saying Hackney Yard has been played previously in competitive COD Mobile, but I don't believe it was on Hardpoint. So this is an entirely different ball game. And just a little spoiler for those of you guys who didn't get to see it earlier a couple of weeks ago, or last week, excuse me, that P2 is the most important hill, perhaps not even just on Hackney Yard, but also on Hardpoint, just a whole meal. It is a very important hill to get control of. All the more important, arguably, right now, is Animus getting the vast majority of time off the back of P1. I'm getting a little bit of deja vu here, mate, because this is exactly what happened back in map number 1.
Shoot on the other foot, though. Let's see if Animus can make this count this time, because, I mean, they never found themselves in the lead in that first map, I don't believe. Like, not even once. And now to find themselves now in the lead with, oh, okay, 1 hill gone. It's a good start, but you do need some help, though. If you are on the side of Shark, needs a big hand. Everybody else on their way. Rasmo will find 1 on the outside. Shark is trying to stay alive. Gathilla will find 1. Shark does his job, though, and all of a sudden, Etsy is the only one in any sort of position to do something over towards P2. It's a wonderful, wonderful hold from Animus, and now they can start to put down the pressure. Wanted out here, very, very close, but Animus in a good position to hold.
Animus doing a good job so far. Still, though, players to contend with. You haven't got that solid spawn control that you wanted just yet. You've allowed... I've got to stop saying that word. You allowed Wanted in towards the hard point. Darik's the only one going to find anything, but that's the most important kill of them all because it is the one that enables Wanted to get in towards the time. 30 seconds left now, and Wanted are significantly better positioned here to hold on towards this time. You have players by Useless, Fahim also looking across the way, but you've allowed a couple of Animus players through. What can they do with that freedom? Says Gafilla already picking up some kills. Knark's also champion dead inside the hard point. Darik's the last one left alive, and Darik's finds a couple of kills. Fahim off the spawn is able to help on through, and Wanted do secure that back 30 seconds. So a huge break there, and again, uncharacteristically, P2 is broken.
They're finding a lot of benefit from that as well, because you can be heading into that. Animus had, what, 40 points by the time we headed over towards P2. They barely even touched 60 with what we would call a fantastic rotation over towards a certain money hill on this map. And they don't really find a great deal for it. Want to do a really good job there. Backs were against the wall, but they stop things getting a little bit scary. Things could get scary though if Gothilla continues like this, but he does eventually get taken down by Cairo. Now a bit of a scrappy one over towards P3, which just can be so mixy. Shark going to try and get something done here. Equalizer is available. Not going to choose to get it in this time. Wanted slowly clawing their way back into this one, or where Animus will find 3 to cut it down. Some potential time on the board for them if they can find a way through.
Yeah, this hill is always generally mixy, but I tell you what, that I think will clarify things just a little bit. Cairo picking up 3 with the Annihilator. Etsy and Fahim also finding some value. Kairo's continuing on his tear, by the way, watching the players coming to the spawn now. Is he going to be able to read this spawn flip is the question for me, as Wanted looks to get the back 20 seconds of time here. A lot of operators ready to go, so I can imagine this is going to be an absolute melting pot of them as we get over towards this next hard point. Right now, Champy in, wants to try and put some pressure on Razmo, who is already around the corner, already weak. Shark's going to end up falling, so all of these gunfights not going in favor here of Animus. Razmo, the last one left alive, and I said we're going to see some of these operators. That's exactly what we see as this hill pops.
What can they do with it? Just absolutely everything. Derek's spraying away at anything that moves with 50 seconds remaining here. Over towards P4. Yeah, in a good position, but we'll get it taken down. Razmo says, combining well. Wanted still have a lot more. Etsy. Nicole in the Sparrow, can he do much with it? The answer is absolutely yes, he can. 2 kills to his name, but all of a sudden Animus are in a position to maybe disrupt this, but only momentarily. Everything invested and everything gained from Wanted. A really good job with 25 seconds left to go. They can find themselves in a 50-point lead by the time we head over towards the next hill.
Wanted in a solid advantage at the moment. Again, these rotational battles are everything. Fahim, unfortunately, is overwhelmed there. Just a little bit too much to ask for, I think, trying to face down 3 players all alone. Shark now, they're going to force the issue as well. Shark finding a couple of rotational battles. Etsy's going to bring that Predator missile down, though, and that will be the opening they're required. Champy's already through, but even now, even with that utility used, Wanted still have to find some kills to actually secure this hard point, and Animus are approaching this one from a plethora of different angles. Champy has a hell of a lot to do up here, and yet still Champy almost wins that second gunfight as well. Is that enough? Is that pressure enough perhaps to allow Wanted another shot at this hill? Well, as Saze picks up a couple, Animus, they feel like this is probably the hard point for them. They've already started earning this time.
Oh, he now gets in there if you're Etsy. Taken down eventually by the Sparrow of Nox. Gothilla now will have to come over and try to help his teams from the inside of the point. Derek's Cairo trying to get something going. Etsy, the only one who can really get a touch. Good job here from Animus. It's feeling like a hill they absolutely needed. Shark can find 2 over towards the van side, just trying to stay alive as long as he can. He found a 3rd. It was 5 in a row from Shark down that side. And that might just be the straw that breaks the camel's back of Wanted, who found themselves into a lead. That is being dissipated now with 15 seconds to go on this hill. We're back over towards P1, and Animus are going to be there with a lead.
Animus going to flip the lead in their favor. A couple of kills now starting to come through, though, from Wanted, so they should be the first team to touch here. But you can already see Animus preparing themselves for that inevitable rotation over towards P2. Predator missile coming down from Narcs. Got to be honest, probably not the best hill to use that Predator missile on, considering how sheltered this hill can be. And it doesn't really allow Animus much in the way of actually getting in towards the hard point. Shark is going to have to do that himself by brute forcing his way on through. Can he find any more value? No. Champy will trail on out, but nobody's watching that doorway. It's time for Champy to bring the Gravity Vortex gun down. He finds a couple of kills with it. Next player close by. The Punter Killer Drone will posthumously pick up that gunfight. And to be fair, Animus have managed to break on through. Shark now with the equalizers as well. This is absolute carnage inside. What can Shark do? Can he find any more? Yes, he can. Next couple of kills will be his, and towards the kill, it's now going to be the War Machine coming out for Fakeem, who finds 3. Surely not number 4. No, Narcs just slides under it. It is absolute carnage inside P1. But at the end of all those flurry of engagements, it is Wanted who will be able to get the last 15 and the rotation towards P2.
Look at this rotation coming in from Animus. They've all went down the left-hand side of the map. Kairo's been taken down, and what was looking like such a solid rotation over towards P2 is still looking relatively comfortable. For a second, things got a little bit scary, but Nox is here.
One out.
Nox is going to find another one. It is the spawn out coming through. Nox can't find a second. He will get taken down by Champy. It was so important, but now it's 50-50. Animus can find a way through. Stays here on the cuts, and all of a sudden, Gothilla up close and personal with the Annihilator, turns away from a revolver into a shotgun in Gothilla's hands. Can he find the 3rd? Champy is maybe the next one. The chopping block turns it around. Does he find it on a Derek's? And another one from Gothilla. It's a highlight play, and that might be the P2 break they needed.
Oh, he's continuing as well. Gafilla is far from done, but maybe his team are. It's going to be 3 kills back-to-back here chained, and all of Gafilla's efforts might be for naught because Wanted are still in towards his time. The equalizer's now starting to come out from Darix too. He's still going to find some value. He's still got them ready to go inside the hill. A lot of pot shots being taken here by Animus to remove them from the time, and one player has actually got behind enemy lines. It's being a real nuisance right now. It's going to be Razmo, but as we hit the last 15-second mark here, I think Animus would be better served moving towards the rotation. They know that as well, especially as Razmo does end up falling. So again, for all the heroics that we saw from Gafilla there, and trust me again, potentially player of the game, Wanted do walk away with basically a full hold. It is significantly more convincing than what we saw in the first set, and it's given them a convincing lead over Animus.
Really good job from Wanted. It was looking scary when Gafilla started just letting rip over towards the P2 side. Animus have definitely felt a step behind here. There's a couple of decent holds from them, which have found them in this position, but they cannot let Wanted just continuing to soak up time. It's a dangerous position. It's a dangerous proposition to set if you are the side of Animus, but you can start to soak up a good amount of time yourselves. You've got some decent enough spawns, but with Shark falling there, you're in a good position to maybe shut something down. But Nox is going to there to try and pick up the pieces. He cannot. Etsy and Co will find a way through. They broke the 200-point mark not too long ago. They're looking to go a step further.
Here we go. Champion towards the hard point. Looking for the last 20 seconds. This is pivotal time at this point in the game. And he's going to find a second kill as well. Champy is a lone ranger here. He's being surrounded by a ton of players from Animus. Nux will be the first of those players to try and get in towards the time. But fortunately enough, Team Shots will be good enough to remove him from that one. But keep an eye on this rotation, folks, because Animus are being swiftly removed from it. There is just one player left to contend with. It's going to be Shark. And all the pivotal gunfights towards New have been won by Wanted. Ton, this could be the hill where they close things out.
Well, Darix has found to maybe further solidify that plan from Wanted. Inside the point, still staying alive. Iveretti just turn and burn and doesn't find a second. Nox and Says can answer back with a couple of their own, but they need to get inside the point because Wanted are only 20 seconds away. Kyrie will find a couple more. This next wave of gunfights just feels ever so important. Razmo says you can combine together, but you need everybody else to be pulling their weight. Nox and Razmo will find something, investment coming through. They will find a break, but Wanted are only 10 away.
Animus going to be in. Wanted just need one more break. 3 kills perhaps. Is that all they're going to need here? Narks and Shark sat inside the hard point. Fahim tries to make his way through. Shark with a crucial double. Shark finds 3. Says is also going to find 1. Champy might well be in, but he gets shut down. Wanted still only need 10 seconds here, and there's 15 seconds left in the hill. They could still do it here. Animus, though, I think will be able to get the rest of this time, and I think Wanted here just focusing on the rotation, and they have it.
Shark has something to maybe just try and break that duck door. Just seeing his screen, it's lit up like Christmas. Doesn't find anything. And all of a sudden, if you're Animus, you need to find a breakthrough. You need to find the kitchen sink, the washing machine, the fridge, everything at this one immediately. Githella can find 2, though. He was the one to maybe find the break. Over towards P2. Last time he has to do it all on his own. Spawns towards the backhand side. Wanted still inside the point. If you're Animus, you've got to get going. You've got to get going now. Stays inside the point. It will not matter. A map number 5 beckons between these two teams. Wanted will not go quietly into the night, and Animus will be forced into a map number 5. What a map number 4 that was from the side of Wanted. Look, we've seen plays from Animus, but they never made them count. Every single time that an opportunity was offered to the side of Wanted, they took it with both hands and found valuable points. Man, I think of the plays that Githella and Co made on occasion, especially over towards P2, and just did not make it count.
Yep. And that was the hill, I think, if anything, right? I mean, we saw a very 50-50 game where the vast majority of the hills were a 30-30 split between these guys, if not contested for the vast majority of it. Even the P2 on the first set, even though Wanted with the team that were there first, Animus was still able to take, I think it's actually Animus there first, excuse me, and Wanted were able to take the back 30 away. But as we got into the second set, even when the teams were extremely close, Wanted were able to get control of the rotation towards P2, and I think rather crucially, despite that 5 kill, this damn play right here, which is honestly insane. Despite this insane play, those spawns for P2 are so sticky that they could not actually get the kill off the back of that, and I think that was the death knell for Animus in that game. The fact they gave away 50 to 60 points on P2 was everything that Wanted could have desired and more. It gives them a shot at a game 5. Here's a look at the final scoreboard at the end of that game then. And, you know, Fahim, again, he has been a standout player, 41 kills to his name. But I actually want to give a shout out to Champy. He finishes 32 and 26, but crucially does a lot of that inside the hard point with 60 seconds to his name.
Yeah, every single moment that you see in Champy's screen was finding important 1s and 2s. Darix, of course, alongside him, just soaking up all of that time. What a game number 4 that was. But let's cast our minds back. The Hardpoints went the way of Wandered. Search and Destroy and Control has went the way of Animus. And Search and Destroy is what we have to close out this series. I believe it's going to be Express as well. Animus will still be feeling very, very confident on this one, I would like to say. I think, you know, they know that they have the edge in the Search and Destroy. I think if you Wandered, you've really given them a good game. Can you take it a step further? For me, they put their name into the conversation. Whatever happens here in this map, at least we have that somewhat other team who are going to be able to mix it with the big dogs. But at the same time, just need to work on maybe a little bit more control and a little bit more Search and Destroy. But there is still plenty of time to do that. There's time to do that in this series with Express coming up. It should be an absolute banger. Oh, I'm excited for this one. Let's get into it. Express, Search and Destroy to close it out and for somebody to send themselves to finals.
Yeah, so many of these early rounds on Express, Search and Destroy are going to come down who can win the first flurry of kills, especially as we hit B. Narcs will assist Animus, into getting control of the B site early on. It's an immediate 3 versus deal off the back of that 2-piece. Bomb is going to be down, so Animus going to have to go back to retrieve that one. The good news, I guess, for Animus in the situation, Wanted don't know that's the case. They are pushed all the way back. They're not being aggressive here whatsoever.
Slow and steady away for the rest of Wandered. Shark will find Darix, though, and all of a sudden Fahim, well, he was finding 1s and 2s across the map, especially in the control. He'll have to find a 1, 2, 3 if he wants to find this round. You can imagine the gap will close, and nade heading that way as well. Maybe just gives you an indication that they know exactly where he is. He's going to take a chunk of damage from that nade, and that will be the round. Animus will find their attacking round to kick things off here. Steady the ship after a map 4 loss. It's always an important first round.
Not much to analyze there. Again, just one of those rounds where both teams butt heads over towards B. A couple of kills, actually 3 in that round from Narcs. Decides it. Animus starting strong. Once again, same kind of story here. He will win out on the trades this time around. Shark aggressive towards the site, only able to find one. Champion Etsy going to do some damage for Wanted on the other side, but Razmo does trade things out. Ultimately, though, it's still disadvantage for them as Razmo finds a second, though, brings it down to a 2 versus 3. The problem now, though, despite being in a 2 versus 2, is that the bomb is going to be down right at the laps of Wanted. If they know, they don't know.
Did they know? You can see the setup. Now, maybe they do know. You can see Fahim's kind of dropped back off it. Animus still with a lot of work to do here. And I do believe that Wanted have got some inkling, or maybe not. They're starting to rotate off it now. So they didn't see it. It's a dead even 2 versus 2, but this gunfight might be the difference maker. Take an office on your right-hand side. If your Nox gets caught by Fahim, but Fahim gets caught by Razmo for his 3rd of the round. And now left to have to find his 4th if Animus want to continue with the lead. 50 seconds to go here. Both of them relatively close, but not looking in the same direction, especially if you're Razmo. Are you going to get caught? Oh my. The timing doesn't work in his favor. Etsy will find it. Razmo. All at sea in that one. One apiece now.
I was a little bit concerned there for a second. I wasn't necessarily a fan of Etsy getting as aggressive as he did, considering they were the team on the defense. Although, again, they definitely did not know the bomb was sat down. Otherwise, that round would have played out extremely differently. Nonetheless, Razmo, big contributor to that round for Animus. Once again, same kind of story. This time around, Shark opens up proceedings with the first blood. Nice nade over the top. Wanted pushed further back here. Saze flies down, and it's a triple from the SMGs as Saze and Narcs combine for 3. And we'll leave Darix isolated in a 1 versus 4. Razmo's already seen him. Darix does find that kill somehow, and he's actually gotten away too. Nobody there to trade it.
Bomb down over towards B, though. So what was a difficult task in a 1 versus 3 is still not necessarily ideal. Gets a little bit harder. Githila's going to be holding it down, but damage was already done from Animus in these opening salvos once again. Get the advantage and press it. Narcs will find the kill. Darix will fall. Animus 2-1 to the good now. Wanted could do with finding some defensive rounds. I mean, look, a lot of these hits over towards B have been working out in the favor of Animus. If you wanted, do you go away from that? Do you try and maybe just go for some sort of retake? If you're Animus, you keep at it, surely, or you don't. You go towards A and you mix things up. The sign of a good search and destroy team with plenty of plans available. Util coming over.
You're really There's only really one counter to teams getting aggressive here on the offense, and that's being just as aggressive. If not, you give up control of the site, and that's exactly what's happening here, right? Where Animus is being aggressive, Wanted chose the other site. Now they need to get a retake going. Kairu starting that pretty strong with that first blood. Good trade coming out from Narks. Philip also following up on another one. So down to a 3 versus 3 we go as Kairu takes Narks down. And that bomb did not go down over towards A. I actually am a fan of this play from Animus, right? They've got Wanted over here by A. They're going to make a fast push over towards B. At least I hope it's fast. At the moment, I think it's slowed down somewhat. I will say, despite the fact that I'm a fan of this bomb rotating over towards B, I'm not a fan of Gothilla being isolated and doing so.
As Gothilla got over scot-free, though. Looks that way, but is he maybe going for an aggressive push behind? Slowly, as they start to gain no information, it equals information. B-bomb. It's going down. And now for the side of Wanted. Rasmus should know that he can probably press this forward, and the island player of Says just played it ever so perfectly. Waits for everybody else to start to make a move away from the A site, and that's when he pounces. Just such a difficult position. Darix not going to be next on the chopping block. It's almost like Rasmus lagged in real life, but all of a sudden, Darix can find it and make it a 2 versus 2.
That's a Vanellope's Fun Sweets glitch if I've ever seen one.
Hold on.
Well, yeah. 10 seconds left on the clock here for Says. Stop this one. Darix spotted him out. Says can't find the kills. Not convincing whatsoever. Is there enough time for the defuse? Did Darix jump on it quick enough? 2 seconds left. Is the bomb going to go off? No! Darix gets the defuse in. A huge clutch coming through. And yeah, you've got to imagine if that snipe goes off from Rasmo, that's a very different round.
Oh, that got scary. That got very, very scary. Bomb just about defused in time. 2-2 is a very different scoreline to 3-1, and that's what Animus would have been staring down the barrel of, but we go over to the tried and trusted, just headbutt each other over towards B. We are 12 seconds into the round, and it is donezo. Animus finding themselves in the lead once again. Another flurry of an attacking round, and it is done. 3-2.
Yeah, one last offensive effort here from Animus. They've been wholesale successful towards B, and you know what? Why not? Just do it again. This has been where you've most successful so far. A little bit of a change of the strategy. No one going up top. I don't think they expected that many players down low, but the trades are looking pretty good for Wanted here. Nark's the only one through, and Fahim's going to get him as part of a double. 2 for a 1 offer. Gothilla will trade out, though. So down to a 2 versus 2 we go, and they do have the bomb. Wanted, very successful in the defense of B so far.
Did he see that second player? Rasmus on the way over to try and help out. Machine pistol in hand. Very pedestrian-like, just rotating away, and Fahim will catch him with the pants down. 2 kills from behind, nice and easy. 3 apiece after 6 rounds. Wanted will take that. Under the attack they go now. Animus will feel aggrieved at that, if anything. A couple of rounds you definitely feel they should have taken away. They'll probably feel like they should be at least 4-2 up.
Definitely. Well, look, Wanted. And just take 3 rounds away there on the defense. Trade's already going down over by B. It's in favor of Wanted, but only by 1. Darix is dicing with death here. He's just trying to play a little bit of a distraction play while Etsy and Fahim finish off those kills, and it is a perfect distraction. Wanted again. Just one of those situations, right, where they butt heads on B, they win that one.
Oh. So intense between these two. You never know which way the rounds are going, and actually, you know what, I love it. They're just squaring up, but throwing haymakers left and right, and once again, we go over towards B. But this time around, it's Wanted coming out on top once again, and this is for a 2-round lead. Etsy can answer it back after Gothilla finds 1, and all of a sudden, it's Rasmo left in a 1 versus 3. Position to find 1, yes. Goes aggressive. Oh, he's looking for the head. He can't quite find it. He knows one will be watching the crosshair, does he? Finds himself in a position where he can now repurpose himself. He doesn't fire. Did he fire? I'm not sure, but the bomb is down. And Wanted have themselves a 2 versus 1.
Yeah, the good news here for Rasmo is he has the Fennec in the back pocket, so he's ready for all eventualities. And of course, even better news, Wanted are split. So if there is a kill, it would not be traded almost immediately unless they choose to come together here. But Rasmo's taking a long route through the middle of the map. Time starting to run out here. 15 seconds, you've got to go now, Rasmo. You've got too many places to check here. Now these guys are bunched up. Does that benefit him with a Fennec in hand? Nope, gets slapped in the face by Darix with the prize fighters. 2 rounds in a row now for Wanted here. They're looking pretty good.
He had the information. Maybe didn't feel like he had the facilities to be able to pull it off with it. And Wanted have themselves a cushion now. This push over towards B has been working out, and this time around you're going to see Animus still commit towards it. Darix has changed it up, as has Etsy. Wanted are a few kills away from finding themselves on match point. Can you turn it around if you're Animus? It's a 3 versus 5 in Wanted's favor.
It's got to be said, this is a really peculiar round from Wanted because you've got the bomb carrier effectively being the tip of the spear over by A. Gafilla are also going to take Darix down by B, and this leaves them in a horrendous spot. I mean, yeah, I think the oddness of the round is going to gift Cairo that kill on towards Gafilla, but nonetheless, I mean, the situation is still the same here. Wanted need to retake the bomb over by A, even if they've got the numbers. They still are unsure whether or not they could do it. And Shark might be able to make things a little bit weirder as well if he gets some good timing. Did he just see Cairo? Yes, he did.
He's seen him. But is he being watched over from the top side? The answer is absolutely not, because Cairo hasn't turned around, but Cairo's pushed forward and found one. Nox will fall. Cairo spins for the second, and Wanted find themselves 6-3 up. They're on match point.
Wow. Wow. We set up Animus as one of the teams to watch this season, and it looks like they're about to be toppled early on by Wanted. Just one search and destroy round away. It's a B push coming out from Wanted, and this time the bomb site is free real estate. Animus going to have to hit this one through the middle of the map. It has to be a fast return from them. And Wanted now finally going to get the bomb down. I thought they were a little bit uncontent to do so. They were. Now they do. Cairo with that first pop of the nade, but it's a nade right back from Animus. 4 versus 4.
4 versus 4 with 40 seconds to work with. Animus, you have to make the play. The setup from Wanted, is it good? Well, so far, so good. Rasmo will fall. We asked the question, are Wanted here to join the party? They may well have started it. Darix will find one on the Nox, and all of a sudden they can just smell victory. They can see it. Gathilla will find one to answer back. Gathilla will fall, as will Says, and as will Wanted. Find the win up against Animus. It's a 7-4 victory in the end, a 3-2 match victory for Wanted. We wondered if they could really bring it to the table, and they have done. They find the victory against Animus. The pressure wasn't on them, and they absolutely delivered. Fantastic performance from them, and they advance on into the finals. What a performance.
It just feels like a total night and day experience, right? Comparatively to the takeoff. Comparatively to the map number 2, excuse me, where Wanted and Animus, I mean, they were just completely different teams. You know, Animus hyper aggressive there. Wanted didn't really know what to do. In this instance, though, it feels like Wanted were the ones in the driver's seat firmly. They looked so solid. Big reasons why. Fahim, 11 kills. Etsy, also 11 kills. And it's worth saying, I mean, the rest of the roster, all of them contributed, but those guys were consistently on the board, consistently making those big gunfights in Wanted's favor, especially on those offensive rounds towards the back half of the game where they managed to chain 4 back-to-back. Animus muted for that final search and destroy, and for the second time this challenge season, we are shook. Just like 117 Not Found beating exclusive, Wanted have taken the highest seed away from the favorites.
I'm here for it. I love everything about this, okay? We said that there could be potential surprising outcomes, some upsets. We didn't know what to expect because we've seen crazy things happen, whether that was last week or in NA. So I mean, this is fantastic. This is showing that what we thought we knew heading into the challenge season wasn't necessarily 100% true, as Wanted get the 3rd spot in our challenge finals. And, you know, I mean, this, in my mind, Ton, means that when we get to challenge finals, we get that final team that qualifies through, it's anybody's game.
Oh, we have an absolute dogfight for the challenge finals now. Animus I mean, they fumbled to a certain degree. There was a couple of rounds of that search and destroy that they'll look back on and sort of say, right, okay, how didn't we do more with that? They'll think of moments in the hardpoint map number 4, thinking, how didn't we do more with that? Their hardpoint needs serious work. Their control and search and destroy looks great, but they falter at the last moment. But full props to Wanted, who put themselves in that conversation. And I think it was just, you know, we knew they were a decent team from that mod roster, right? We knew that they could, well, okay, maybe cause a little bit of effort to be needed from the other squads to try and find a win against them last season. They've come into this season, they look like a real prospect of a roster who could go on a run here. And now if they just solidified that with a win against Animus, the answer is absolutely yes. They put themselves in that fantastic position now where they qualify for the challenge finals. Animus have to go again. Don't get me wrong, tomorrow I have no doubt in my mind Animus will find that final spot, of course, but that is a blow for them. And is it a wake-up call for the Hardpoint? Is it something where they now need to change? Or is it just that wanted a goddamn good team?
I mean,
I gotta say, I think it's a little bit of both. Sorry, I think it's a little bit of both. I think honestly, like going back to last season again, like looking at the hard point of Mont, it was like very easily the best game mode for them, and I think that's absolutely carried through to this new team. And again, Omniscient last season, it wasn't like hard point was awful, but like they definitely could have made improvements. And it doesn't feel like they've done that thus far.
Well, they've got one more night to try and, you know, make adjustments for tomorrow. We'll take a look at the schedule so everybody at home knows what to expect. You got a chance to see that bracket, but obviously we still have to close things out and get our fourth and final team for challenge finals. We'll be kicking things off with Vanquish and Nexus, the two teams that dropped down from the upper bracket earlier today, and then whichever of those two teams wins will then move forward in the lower bracket to face off against Animus, who will be waiting in the wings. So that will be another dogfight. The last spot of the challenge finals will be on the line here tomorrow for those teams. So everyone is going to be fighting tooth and nail to see if they can secure that spot, continue on in the competition. It's going to be an exciting day to close out the challenge season here for EU. If you are unable to make it, just follow us on social media, okay? That way you won't miss how it all concludes. We've got X, Insta, and Facebook. As long as you're following us on there, you won't miss a single second of any of the action, as well as joining our Discord at discord.gg/Snapdragon Pro Series. There you can join our community, talk all things social media related, updates related, or game related, and then you can also let us know your thoughts, because I feel like we thought we knew how today was going to play out. We thought we knew how exclusive was going to do in the first group, and we don't know anything anymore. So it's super fun. It's very exciting. And of course, do the survey as well. Scan our QR code. Let us know your thoughts on how SPS is going. And if you do that, you'll be entered to win a $100 gift card. And we appreciate all of your feedback there on the series so far. Before we say goodbye to everybody, Brody, final thoughts on today.
In the words of Jon Snow, we know nothing. It's crazy. Just like the amount of upsets we've had so far is insane. And I will say this now as well in relation to tomorrow. Do not be surprised if we see more competitive matches tomorrow than we're necessarily expecting, because going back to that weakness in Hardpoint, we saw Nexus today being competitive in Hardpoint with Wanted, albeit the Search and Destroy and the Control left a lot to be desired. The Hardpoint is where they would get into a series versus Animus, and so we could have a series on our hands tomorrow, if that is our final matchup for qualification.
Absolutely. Ton, what about you?
The Jon Snow references still caught me wildly off guard there, to be honest with you. I'm still reeling. Look, I think for me, it's really nice to see Wanted find themselves in that position. I somewhat agree with Brody. I would still probably put my mortgage on Animus getting themselves through, but I would still like to see some competitive games. As long as we get something close, I'll be happy.
Yeah, it's going to be a great way to close everything out, because now that we're done with today, that means the third teams claim their spot in the challenge season. They will be alongside 117 and exclusive from Group A, and then Group B will have to continue their fight here tomorrow for that final spot in the challenge final. So obviously, make sure you tune in tomorrow to see how all of it plays out. As always, a huge thank you to Snapdragon Elite Gaming, Samsung Galaxy, Monster Energy, and DHL for helping us make this whole thing possible. And thank you to all of you at home for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.
The Snapdragon Pro Series is brought to you by Snapdragon Elite Gaming, Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra, Monster Energy, and DHL.
Looks like the players are ready. Here we go!